taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, T.O., as you know. Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything. Shit. I gotta unmute you in order for the people to know you're actually here. No, they did not get you. That was one of my hardest intros. Was it? No, it's the same intro as always. Yeah. Go ahead and hit him one more time. Do it again. Repeat.
It's your boy O-Rain, no name, no games, no gimmicks.
Hey, it's the Fade Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and related. Along with any other goddamn thing we want to talk about, coming to you live, direct, Proof of Concept Studios. What's good? What's up?
Yeah, has this been one of the most boring months? No.
Boring months, yeah. I don't know about that.
I don't feel like March has been like a very exciting month, TV. Well, you know what? Batman did come out this month. That was great.
Yeah, yeah.
But Batman was
March has been a month now. Come on now. We got March Madness.
I don't give a fuck about it. Do you watch college basketball?
Only during March Madness. Yeah, I'm lying right now. I don't even watch it during March Madness.
I have like cable television. Like I only do streaming shit. Like I don't watch college basketball.
Yeah, it's college basketball. College basketball is really interesting in that I feel like it's very exciting for everybody else except for me. I don't find any part of it exciting even a little bit.
Yeah, you know why? Because I feel like I didn't go. And you went to Towson as well, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't go to like a big school with like a great basketball.
They try to be. They try to be.
Yeah, but like I remember being on campus, bro, and like the basketball players and the football players. Get the fuck out of my way! Like y'all ain't winning shit. Like I'm sure the players at like University of Miami and Oklahoma and Michigan and Ohio and all these like big time schools, when they walk around on campus, they probably get mad love just because like they win championships and shit. At Towson, get the fuck out of my way, dog.
Barely know that they play ball.
Lost by 28. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know you. Who are you? Yo, I got the football sweater.
All right.
So?
Yeah, nice sweater, I guess.
That's how they treated him at Towson.
Yeah. Look, there's something going on with the audio right now. We getting some pop in here. I don't know.
It's all good. I'm just gonna continue to shit on these.
Yeah. Please do. Please do.
Figure out the audio. Yeah. Test some things. But yeah, man. Like when you don't go to a big school, college basketball and college football, just college sports in general, like really don't hit for you like they do if you went to some of those. If you went to Michigan, you're like, I'm a fucking Michigan Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm not out here like I'm a Towson Tiger.
Yeah, that's nobody's even said that in the history of the world
ever.
Yeah, that's never been said.
Now, if you went to University of Maryland, you could be like, I'm a Turk, right? Because Maryland is a respectable school.
Guess I don't know.
Maryland basketball team, football team, they're like, they'll be up there a couple years, but like Towson, nah, fuck all that. But yeah, anyway, March it's been a month. At the very beginning, there was excitement because there was Batman. Now, on the 30th, we got Moon Knight coming, which that's going to be exciting. Other than that, it's just been a bit of a dry spell in the in-between time. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently. I haven't been watching anything exciting. I can't think of any exciting movies other than Batman that I've seen. There's no like new TV shows that are dropping.
Yeah. I'm trying to see where this. I think it might be coming from your mic. I think maybe what you want to do. I don't know if you have your cell phone on the table or anything like that. All right.
Did that solve the problem?
Probably not, but
let's give it a try. Let's keep
going.
All
right. Yeah. Let's keep it pushing. Yeah. You know what? Let's just jump into our headlines and shit. Yeah, I don't know where that tapping is coming from. It's like a persistent tapping noise.
It's the feds.
So no, I know. Trying to tap the Biggie tried to tell us, didn't he?
Everything we say on the Fade podcast is figurative. It's alleged. It is opinion based. None of it is based in fact.
We need to have one of those disclaimers happen at the beginning.
This is
disclaimer. This is it. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to change the camera on here. So let's go with some headlines. So let's talk about some movies that are coming out this week, next week. Movies and shows. I said shit. I don't know why can't I talk today?
Yo, you
I'm
took
struggling.
one sip of this bullet with this grenadine in it.
Whoa.
Faded.
Yeah, we listen. It's the name of the podcast. You know what I mean? So we got The Lost City.
This is Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
Sandra
right?
Bullock, Channing Tatum. It
Did I
actually
just
looks
blend their names?
probably.
I feel like I fucked that
when
up.
You just slurred it all together. But I feel like it's going to be one of those like kind of like low key kind of funny movies. Like it just doesn't take itself seriously. You know, it's Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. How serious can we get? You know,
Yeah,
like,
this is not a serious group.
You
You know what? Like, if this were on Hulu or Netflix or like any of the streaming services,
maybe it might be popping.
You know, on like a night when I'm not really doing much, I might just roll something up, pour something in a glass, and then let's see what happens. But this is going to theaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I draw the line. I'm not gonna see. Now, granted, I do feel like Sandra Bullock has done some good shit over the past like couple of years, but I'm not gonna go see like a Channing Tatum movie in theaters. I don't think he's ever put out anything theater worthy.
No, you're not going to go see Magic Mike in the theater?
Me personally, no. But you know what? For during the time when Magic Mike came out, I understand why people were like so excited about it. Why it was a big screen hit. Channing Tatum, good looking guy. Magic Mike, great movie. Like, for the
sounded like you had more to that. I just wanted to give you the room.
For the right crowd of people who would be interested in that. Like, I understand. Like, it was a very successful movie. I understand why people would want to go see it. Am I going to go see it? No, but like, that was a big a theater. Let's go see this fucking wild shit. Not my brand.
Yeah, fair enough. But we also have Morbius coming out next week.
I'm hearing this film is
might be popping.
Disappointing, actually.
I mean, it didn't really look great from the trailers to me, but
yeah. Jared Leto should stop making these superhero movies. Like
wait, which one did he hit on?
The Joker.
The Joker.
And Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
We quickly forgot about that.
But that wasn't his fault though. I've always maintained that was more about the movie than it was about him. It didn't set him up properly.
Sure.
It didn't set anybody up properly. Everything was a colossal failure with the original Suicide Squad movie.
But he was he was bad.
Because of what they asked him to do. Like clearly he gave some, I'm sure, like, he gave some of his own flavor to it. But like, so for instance, there's a scene where he's just like in the room with knives, and so he's in a circle of knives, right?
Yeah.
Why? Like, what the fuck is he doing there? How did he get there? Did he just do that himself? Like, what the fuck?
Do you know how much time that would have taken?
It's meticulous.
He had to have had like an intern or something like that. That's a lot. They were all perfectly placed in a line. He's just like laying. It was like knives and guns, and he's just laying there laughing and
in a
giggling.
circle of knives. Yeah.
It's like, what did he do
the fuck?
after?
How do you
just like
first of all? How do you find that many knives? Like, where do you? Like, you gotta like fucking put the Amazon order in, and then you gotta
huge red flags. Like, we've delivered 90 knives to this one location in the past week.
Bezos is like, look, I gotta report you to the cops. Okay, out of luck. Usually I let the shit slide.
Yeah, as much as I love the money, I gotta report you.
So I don't think they set him up properly. I don't give Suicide Squad to him at all. Like, I don't put that on him.
Now, he gets a little bit. I mean, if you're an actor, you still gotta act. Like, if the writing is not great, the direction is not great, maybe just the film, but you still got to act. He did not do a good job pulling off this. He didn't sell it to me one bit.
That's fair. But also coming from the Marvel universe, we have Moon Knight coming next week. I've heard great things about Moon Knight. I heard it was popping. I heard it was I've heard some people say that it's the best that of the MCU so far, like of all everything that MCU's put out. That this might be the best.
That's a tall order.
Yeah. They're gassing it up a little bit too much.
Someone slow the fuck down. I don't know. It might be his like Oscar Isaac's brother or something like that who like leaked that statement. But come on, guys. Let's slow the fuck down.
Relax here.
I've heard great things about it too. I do hear that this is disconnected from the MCU entirely. This is just like a single one-off story. They're not going to have like a season 2 of Moon Knight.
That's weird. I find that to be strange.
Now, however, though, Oscar Isaac has said that he would love to have a Midnight Suns mashup.
Yeah, sort of like the Avengers of
exactly. So it's Moon Knight, Blade, Punisher, and I think Daredevil, or there's someone else. Is like 4 or 5 of them, and I think Ghost Rider might be in this like whole Midnight Suns thing. That would be fucking dope, though. If you get Moon Knight, Blade, Ghost Rider, Daredevil, like they would fuck shit up.
Yeah, that's a.
I don't think that's gonna happen though. That's like it's too.
They might. What else are they doing right now? Because apparently they're not going to come out with another. Even if they are going to come out with another Avengers movie, it's going to be mad long from now. Not to mention if they do it all. So it's like, why not get a different band together and be like, all right, fuck it. Let's just let them take over for a little bit.
Listen, you need to get like the best contract negotiators in the business to like get that shit done.
You think? I mean, who's in it? Oscar Isaac.
It would be Oscar Isaac, Mahershala, right? And then who would be? You'd have Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider. You wouldn't go back to Nicolas Cage. You'd probably go with Ghost Rider from the Marvel TV series, the Shield series.
I have not watched that at all.
Great. Under fucking rated. Agents of Shield
I've heard this,
is a stellar MCU project.
Yeah, I watched like the first season. I was like, this shit looks whack.
It gets really really good. Then it gets really, really bad. Then it gets really, really good.
Yeah, see, it's the roller coaster that I don't appreciate.
When it's good,
just
though,
take me on an ascending.
Yeah, listen, when it's good though, I mean, it is really, really good. When it's bad, it's like fast forward. But anyway, I'm excited for Moon Knight. That comes out on the 30th, right? So we got like 7 more days here.
Yeah, it comes out next week. So I didn't really have that much for for headlines.
I'm telling you, March is dry.
No, March has not been dry. This particular news cycle has been a little dry. I guess we could talk a little bit. Let's cap ourselves, and I'm gonna literally look at the clock. Let's cap ourselves at 5 minutes.
Sure.
NFL free agency has been fucking insane.
Holy shit!
Insane.
You couldn't have scripted this any better. Even just today, Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins.
I don't know.
What 120 million or something like that? Highest paid receiver in NFL history.
Yo, and Devontae was like, "I got it, guys," and then they were like, "Just kidding."
Devontae thought he was like, "I'm king of the hill," and Tyreek came in like, "Nah." But
check the last name.
These numbers are like small incremental numbers, right? Like he might be making like 2.5 million. Small contract.
Time out. When you say small, I hope you are doing that under the knowledge of we're talking about small relative.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's all relative
sports
to
contracts,
football sports contracts. Yeah.
I'm gonna do something very controversial right now. I'm gonna put this in the drink. What happens now?
What did you just do? You put Starburst?
I put Starburst.
I mean, you already put
drink.
cherry grenadine in whiskey, which I thought was like, ooh.
Nah. Let's do it. Let's ride it. Let's ride this out. Let's see how this turns out. I don't know. I'm taking a risk.
These are red flags. Super red flags. That's the name of this episode. It's red flags.
Red flags.
Anyway, so back to the whole football thing. Yes. So when we're talking about football sports contracts, right? Like, who was highest paid before Devontae? I think it was.
Well, technically, it was DeAndre Hopkins, right? Technically, but his contract was kind of weird. It was an extension.
Yeah,
and it was for like basically, I think void years. That
and Devontae's contract. Like, I think he was only making like realistic. He was only making like 2.8 more a year than like the next guy, but like that small incremental.
What do you mean? After he signed with the Raiders or before?
After he signed with the Raiders, he became the highest paid receiver in the NFL, but it was only by like 1.8 million more dollars per year, right? Which I mean, it's still a lot of money, but like in football, it's not like.
Shout out to Devontae, man. Oh yeah, get your bag while you can get the fucking bag, and I think that's something that. We, as a Packer fan, hate to see him go, right? Fucking hate it, right? But you have right now for his family, he has the ability this contract that he's getting, he's never going to get another contract like this, right? Like this is it. This is his big contract, right? This is, I think, is his third contract. He had his rookie, then he had a second, and now he's on his third contract. Right? Yeah, never going to earn this much more, this much money. Not to mention, he might not even earn this money, depending on how things shake out with the contract, right? Depending on how he plays and shit. So for those people who are like mad at him, look, man.
I'm never mad to see a player choose their create their own destiny and go where they want to go and like dictate their price in the market, right?
Well, and what's crazy about it, I know I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. What's crazy about it is that the Packers actually technically, from what I understand,
the Packers are stupid.
No. They offered him more money actually than the Raiders, but Devontae wanted to leave. I think it's kind of a combination of things. I think it's maybe the whole crazy shit with Rodgers. Will he, won't he come back? As well as I think he felt jilted by the Packers that they didn't offer this to him maybe like last year. So I don't blame. Plus he wanted to play with Derek Carr.
Here's why Devontae won, right? And again, I love to see a player get paid.
Yeah, joint smacks. I don't care what you say.
Sure,
smacks.
Yeah, sure. Here's why. Here's like Von Miller, right? He left. He joined the Bills, got himself a $120 million 6-year deal. I love it. I love to see a great player get paid. Devontae won for several reasons. The Packers were stupid enough to let his contract expire. They should have paid him.
No, it didn't expire.
So he was.
Oh, actually, did.
It did. Yeah, this is it.
But they franchised him. Yeah.
But he told them before they did, I'm not going to play under the franchise tag.
No, he didn't tell them that before. He told them that afterwards.
No, he made it.
It was after they already tagged him because that was right before free agency started.
No, but before they franchise tagged him,
I would have heard about. We would have heard. That's why it was big news when he said he wouldn't play under it.
No, so as far as I understand, he already had expressed to the Packers organization that he would not be happy if they franchise tagged.
Yeah, being not happy anyway. Being not happy with it isn't the same as saying I'm not playing under the franchise tag.
But what you don't do is let the contract of one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver, top two.
So this is where I think we all love to play GM without having to balance the entire equation, right? So you say, okay, if you're the Packers, Rodgers is playing footsie with you, right? He doesn't know if he's coming back. He might go to Denver. He might stay. Who knows, right? You've got Devontae, who's going to be being paid, probably the highest amount for a wide receiver in the league on your team. You've got a quarterback behind Rodgers who, let's just face it, we don't think Jordan Love's going to be too much, right? Like I think everybody's on the agreement of that. So you're pairing this wide receiver that you're going to be paying basically like $30 million to, arguably speaking, every year. What you don't want to do is have yourself where you're handicapped by that. That you're basically going to waste away those years with Devontae without having a quarterback who's going to get him the ball. So that's just a huge contract that's going to be backloaded, and so you have to let all of this stuff sort of play itself out. You have to know where certain dominoes fall before you really sort of commit and say, okay, this is what we can do for you. And also on top of that, the whole idea that he was talking about of, I want to be the highest paid receiver. DeAndre Hopkins' contract was it's a weird contract. It's not like a normal fucking contract. So there was like a debate about like, what does that actually fucking mean to be the highest paid wide receiver? I put it kind of like this. I'm actually really okay with him leaving. As crazy as it fucking sounds, I hate to see it happen because he's been a Packers from the beginning. He's been on the Packers from the beginning of his career. But I'm okay with it because, for one, I think Rodgers was becoming way too over-reliant on him to his detriment, where you go back, you watch some of the at the end of some of these games in the playoffs, and you're like, yo, other dudes are running wide open.
People say, like, Cooper Kupp got force-fed this year. I think to your point, Aaron Rodgers fed Devontae because like, yo, I throw you the ball, I know you're gonna catch it, and we're gonna ignore Lazard, and we're gonna ignore
in crunch time. And on top of it, look, I love Devontae, but I saw Cooper Kupp in that Super Bowl be like, we're not losing. I don't care what the fuck, whatever happens here, we're not losing, right? Yeah. At the end of that game, he just fucking beasted, right? In those big moments, I'm not gonna in the playoffs, like in regular season, Devontae's been he came up clutch, right, at various points. In the playoffs, though, it's sort of kind of like a little bit, he kind of disappears a little bit, whereas it's like, man, there's a guy on me. He was playing good defense. What could I do? Yeah. Whereas I saw Cooper Kupp like, I'm not losing. Like, I refuse.
Tampa,
like,
Bengals, whoever.
I don't care, And so I don't know, man. I kind of see it as a plus where it's just like, okay, Rodgers has to go back to be like, okay, let's just whoever the fuck is open.
Yeah.
Let's just get it to them.
So again, here's why I love what happened. Devontae, so now granted he's leaving one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's going to Derek Carr, who's clearly not on Aaron Rodgers' level, but Derek Carr is a pretty good quarterback. I would put him in arguably like top 10 in the NFL. Arguably. You know what I mean?
That's an arguable thing.
Yeah,
fair enough.
arguably.
Yeah.
And him and Devontae, they have a great relationship. They played together in college.
Yep.
They're like best friends in real life. Like none of this football NFL shit in real life. They're great friends. So it's like if I can get $100+ million or whatever to go play with one of my good friends, we already have a great relationship. I know you're going to get me the ball. Also, no income tax in the state of Nevada.
Woo!
So that's 6% of $100 million.
Devontae's like, I can do math now. I did graduate.
Exactly.
Did he graduate? I don't even know if he graduated. Fuck it.
Doesn't matter. I still know how to do math, and I know that 6% income tax of like $120 million or whatever. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And it's much warmer in Vegas than it is in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, low key, I heard him talk a couple times about like, yo, I never get in trouble. I never do anything crazy. I feel like I deserve to like get paid. And I kind of, with the subtext I heard of that was, motherfuckers, you guys got me up here in fucking cold ass Green Bay half the fucking year. There's not a goddamn thing to do up here, motherfuckers, and you don't want to fucking pay me what I think I deserve.
Now, granted, we've seen what happens to players in Vegas. Raiders have from coaches to players.
Fam. That's what I'm trying to say with Devontae. That's why I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work out, Devontae.
If Devontae is smart, here's what he'll do. He'll get with Floyd Mayweather. Here's why. Here's why. So Floyd Mayweather, he's notorious. He lives in Las Vegas. He's notorious for so he never goes out. He never goes out to clubs. He doesn't really go out to parties, strip clubs. He's notorious for always bringing the club to him. Yeah. He has several houses in Vegas, and
he doesn't drink, which is he doesn't strange for somebody who does much. Like, he's so active in the nightlife.
He's like his body, right? Yeah. So he brings the party to him. He has several houses in Vegas. One of his houses he uses as like his party house, right? Where it's like, if ever I want to have fun, I'll bring the party to me. I'm not going to be out driving 120 miles per hour, crash and kill somebody. Yeah. You're not going to see me drunk at a casino or at a club. Yeah. You're not going to see me out doing no dumb shit. Because if anything happens, it happened in my home, and my lawyers can handle it. So I hope that he's like smart enough to like
Devontae, he's got a family,
not get caught up in the Vegas shit.
He's not young. Yeah, he's got a family. Devontae's a smart dude. And a good dude.
Every time I ever hear him talk, like he's very mature.
Yeah,
he's very like well spoken and like articulate, and he has a good head on his shoulders. I hope he does well. Free agency has been crazy. Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins.
Now that like the whole, and maybe it's because I've been following what's going on with the Packers, but this I don't understand. I don't get it.
Lazard might be signing elsewhere.
No, he's a restricted free agent. So basically, we can match whoever offers him, which I certainly think we'll do. We don't have.
Is he restricted? I thought he was No,
he's not a free agent. He's a restricted free agent.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, we'll see. Who knows who Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing the ball to next year?
I think we'll snatch somebody up. What I'm hoping right now is, and
you guys better go for Julio, OBJ.
No. Julio's often injured. OBJ is currently injured. The dude I'd go for is DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett.
Are they free agents?
I think he's not a free agent, but I think Seattle or something like that? Seattle I think is thinking about moving him. I think. But Tyler Lockett for sure. Might go with your dude Cooks down in Houston. Might be an option. Make a trade for him. I heard what's his name? From what's now the Commanders, as gross as that is to say. McLaren. I heard he might get moved. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of options out there. I would not go with a Julio Jones, although for whenever he does actually play, he'd be a beast.
He's a threat when he's healthy,
but he's literally always injured. It's just always the fucking case with him. So
yikes.
I think we'll make a move. If not, we'll get somebody in a draft. But I think everybody makes a bigger deal out of this than it actually fucking is. I think if we sign, say, MVS back and we have Lazard back, we have Cobb back, the dude Rodgers, Amari Rodgers. We have him as well from last year. it's not a crisis. We're not in crisis mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everybody's projecting. It's
Listen,
a crisis,
if you want a receiver, we've got plenty. Okay.
Nah, not anymore. Robert Woods, isn't he on the move?
So yes, Robert Woods is now in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, here's the guy who,
Wait, who do you guys have? Robert Woods is gone. OBJ is not signed.
So we got Cooper Kupp, Triple
and then-
Crown winner. We got Allen Robinson.
And then Allen Robinson. That's it.
We've got Van Jefferson.
Allen Robinson. That's about it. Him and Cooper Kupp. That's all you guys got.
Van Jefferson had 940 yards receiving this year.
How
He
many
almost
did
had
he drop?
1,000 yards.
Okay, how many did he drop?
A
lot.
no, you're thinking about Skolky.
No. I'm
number
thinking
18.
specifically of Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson had some of the
for
deepest,
the small sample size I got of watching him, he dropped an awful lot of
we almost
passes.
had
in that
3,000 yard receiver.
Almost if he hadn't dropped that many.
So he was 60 yards short. So yes, you're right. Maybe he would have caught one of those passes. He'd had 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
But it's looking like OBJ wants to stay in LA. I think we're gonna keep him. I think we're gonna figure out the contract.
We'll see if you guys can pay him.
So what they're doing first is like we're trying to get Aaron Donald's contract figured out, and then OBJ.
I'm not sure if Donald is going to be back.
He's gonna be
as
back.
a Ram. Okay, crazy offseason,
He's gonna
fam.
be back.
I know. This is how I felt when Rodgers was possibly on the move. I was like, no, impossible.
Trust me, Aaron Donald either he's gonna retire or he's not. I mean, he's very much at home
makes you
in
think?
LA.
What makes you think that? Like what? I always, because this is the same thing I felt about Rodgers. Is like, yeah, I can't see him in a different jersey, but he was flirting with it pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, I think Aaron Donald knows like there's nothing better than I think as an athlete knowing that like the city that you play for like loves you and idolizes you.
Yeah, you
and
know what
if the
speaks
team
more?
Play
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
So we've given him the biggest contract of any defensive player before. We'll do it again.
That contract expired.
Yeah.
As you said, how could you let the contract expire?
Let's do it again. Like if he doesn't retire, pay the man again.
Man. You guys are top heavy, man. You guys got Jalen Ramsey that you're paying money to. You got Matthew Stafford that you're paying money to. You got
not
Cooper
having to
Kupp
re-sign Vaughn,
money to.
not having to re-sign Robert Woods. We're freeing up a lot of cap space.
Yeah,
they're gonna get the Aaron Donald deal done one way, even if they pay him into retirement like 3-4 years out. I'll still give Aaron Donald $20 million after he retires.
Okay, I'm trying to tell you, crazier things. Clearly, look, we just saw fucking Tyreek Hill in his fucking prime.
The only place I could see Aaron Donald going is Pittsburgh because he's from Pitt. That's where he went to college. I'm pretty sure he was born and raised in Pittsburgh. And I think for a guy like him, it may be nice to go home and retire or go home and play for the team that you grew up watching in that city.
That's the same. That's the same
and
thing with
same
thing for Devontae.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be mad at that. Like, go home and play for your home team.
Yeah. All right. Look, this isn't a sports podcast. This is a fucking TV and film podcast. Okay?
Football's on TV.
Let's get. We can only get away with that excuse for so long. Okay. But let's get to it, dude. Like, let's talk deep water. I wish I would have made a Chiron for this. I didn't make the Chiron. I know I didn't, so I'm not even going to try to attempt it. We watched the movie, and let me give you the quick rundown of this movie. A well-to-do husband who allows his wife to have affairs in order to avoid a divorce becomes a prime suspect in the disappearance of her lovers. This is directed by Adrian Lyne and written by Zach Helm along with Sam Levinson. I knew this had the sniffing of a Sam Levinson production. The same dude who created Euphoria. This sniffed, it tasted of Sam Levinson's doing, and this was originally based off of a book from Patricia Highsmith, of the same name, I believe. Yeah, it was the same name, Deepwater. Starring Ben Affleck, Anna de Armas.
I believe it's Armas.
Anna de
Armas.
See, I always hate trying to put a little twang on shit. Like, this is it feels like I'm posing.
If she's American, it's Anna.
Yeah.
If she's not American, Anna.
Well, I think it's Anna just simply because there's only one N, right? Do I have that right? Anna is two N's. Anna is one N.
Maybe that might be right. I just go based off of nationality. If she's American, Anna. If she's from anywhere else, Anna.
Yeah, fair enough. Tracy Letts and Grace Jenkins, among others. Let's just jump into this shit. Let's do a dissection of Deepwater. Let's set the folks up with what this we got the synopsis, but what is this movie really about? Tell me from your perspective. What's this shit about?
I think this movie, what I found most interesting about it, it challenged how we view like a relationship, right? A marriage, right? So as if you're watching this movie and if you're like a very traditional person and you aren't open to like different forms of relationships, and
you might have had
so
a
on and so
fucking
on.
connection.
Exactly, right? But like if you're a person who's realistic, you understand like not all relationships are the same. There are some relationships where people are happily married, but they see and sleep with other people. It might be both people are seeing and sleeping with other people. It may be one person is seeing other people and the other person's okay with it. Or you may have a situation like this where you have this this husband Vic, right? Who is, I believe Vic had created a computer chip, and the chip was was sold to the military, and he was able to retire off that money and get residuals from military contracts and so on, right? So he was retired, and his and what was Ana de Armas's name in this movie?
Hold on, I got you.
I forget her name. It is
Her
going to come to me in a
name
matter of
was
seconds.
Melinda. Yeah.
So Melinda was his wife, this beautiful, young, charming, charismatic woman who had, she was always drinking. She had a taste for alcohol. Not the best mom in the world, and she was like, she was fun and loose and social and whatnot, right? So it's like Vic, he was a man with this beautiful wife, this who he absolutely adored, but she had.
I think that might be a tad bit of a stretch to say he absolutely adored her.
So I think I think
he loved her.
I do think he was absolutely in love with her.
Yeah.
I think he adored her. I think he would have. I think he made every excuse in the world to maintain the image he had of his wife.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody knew she was sleeping with other men, but he would be like, "Oh, they're just friends," like, "Oh, like, are they sleeping together?" Like, I don't know. I don't ask her. Like, he even said several times, like, I don't ask her those questions.
But he clearly knew. So it's
so knowing is very different than like actually confronting that thing and accepting, right? Like, you see it all the time. Someone's in a relationship and like they know their significant other's cheating on them, but they never confront it. They never accept it or acknowledge it, right? Yeah. And that was happening here. So for me, this movie was about a couple in a very troubled relationship that spilled out and impacted all of the people around them. And then you got to deal with like the fallout of all of that.
Yeah, to me, this movie was simply about it was it was a few different things, but one of the most apparent, I think it's cucking to the highest extent, right? So, dudes who like to watch their wives, screw around, and this was like, okay, he was like, all right, yeah, like I don't like her being with somebody else, but it also weirdly turns me on to her as well. So I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, it was weird. Like you could tell he was disturbed when he was watching his wife kiss other men,
but like, also
not disturbed enough to like say anything or do anything about it.
Well, I think it's kind of just like it was more about the game between them than it was about, like him being really like just upset that she was seeing somebody else or anything like that. It was just who can kind of like it became about who can one up the other. She kept saying at several points in during the movie, I hate that the fact that you think you're so much smarter than me. So it was like, okay, well, she couldn't like outsmart him, so it's just like, well, I can just fucking make you insanely jealous, and he's like, he kind of knew that, and so instead of taking that out on her, he just took it out on the dudes that she stepped out on him with. But also, this movie is, I feel like, a very cautionary tale of knowing yourself enough to know the types of situations that you want to put yourself into. Mm-hmm. What do I mean by that? I mean that, so you have Vic, who, for all intent and purposes, he's just like a normal, chill dude. He fucking, has snails that he looks after. And I guess maybe normal might be maybe a stretch here, but he seems like just an unassuming person, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody.
Did you get the snail reference though?
To what?
So this is why the snails were kind of like a defined Vic as a person, right? As like a husband in their relationship. Remember when he was like, a snail will climb a 120-foot wall to find their mate, right? I mean, and that was like, I feel like a foreshadowing for who he is. Like, I will go above and beyond. I will do anything for my wife. I will accept her for who she is with her flaws and all. Yep. And if I will even kill someone for my wife. So I feel like, that the comments he made about the snails was
tilt that mic up for me. I'm sorry.
The comments that he made about the snails were also kind of like a referencing like who he is as like a partner and a husband.
Yeah. I think that to a large extent, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think that the reason why I think that it was a cautionary tale of like knowing who you are within the context of a relationship is that, so at any point, either of these two people could have walked away, right? They could have gotten a divorce and honestly would have been perfectly fine. It seemed like Trixie, their daughter, was perfectly fine with just being with her dad.
Yeah, she clearly had a favorite parent.
Yeah. Oftentimes,
Mom wasn't
who's
shit.
your favorite? It's like nobody, but we knew in this one who her favorite was. But plus, also, Melinda didn't really seem like she cared for Trixie all that much.
Yeah, she was either drinking, she hated her music. You never really saw her like playing with and interacting with the daughter.
Yeah.
Never drove her to school, never picked her up from school.
No, except for towards the end, you saw them sort of have a little bit more playful sort of attitude with one another, and Trixie was a little bit more sort of mature, I guess, for her age than I'm sure a lot of other kids are. But so both Vic and Melinda know that, hey, this isn't quite working out for us. Like this isn't exactly sort of like what I'm looking for here. But they do have some sort of magnetism to one another. They just can't like leave one another. But I think this is a good example of just relationships in general, where you'll have somebody who is in a relationship but can't leave that relationship for X or Y, reason, and refuses to leave, even though everything is pointing towards just fucking end the relationship. It'll be less chaotic. It'll be less crazy. But you have to know yourself enough to know what your tendencies are and to know what your wants are and what your fucking, what your limits are. But I think that Vic knew himself well enough to know that he hadn't actually reached his limit, which is a scary fucking thought, that his wife basically blatantly stepping out on him, like flaunting it to not only him, but to everybody in the town. That wasn't even on his radar of like being like, oh, this is too much. It was just like, it's okay. And I think he got his first rush when he joked about killing, I guess her first lover, and I forget I think Charlie might have been his name or something.
No, Charlie was the guy who played the piano.
Okay.
The first person he had joked about killing was, they never showed the person, obviously.
No.
The person was dead. I forget the person's name, but yes, he did joke about killing someone that everyone in town knew was more than likely her lover, her side dude.
Yeah. And so I think that's where he got his first rush of like, oh shit, I could actually like do something here. And so then that sort of starts the snowball of him actually like acting out, which kind of in turn turns her on in a way. And it's just, these two are fucking toxic as fuck together.
Yeah, this was a very at first I thought like, all right, this is a relationship in which like they maybe don't have the traditional confinements of like a marriage. It was like, well, you can be with me and only with me, you can only sleep with me, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, I'm okay with you sleeping with other people as long as it doesn't like interfere with our family.
Yeah.
But it clearly did, several times. I think the first time she stepped out on him with the dude, not Tony. Who was the first guy? Remember at the party?
Yeah.
I'm pretty not. I think it was Tony.
No. Tony was the dude that was the last dude that he.
Yes,
he
you're
dealt
right.
the death blow to.
No, I think it was Joel.
Joel.
Right. So remember, they were at the party.
Yeah.
Joel came, and then he saw her kissing Joel from the window.
Yeah.
And everyone at the party was like, "Hey, look, your wife is being very openly flirty with this guy, right?" And then there was Charlie Delisle, who was like the piano player,
who by the way is played by Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
And he's actually the sort of main antagonist in Euphoria.
Okay.
So when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, it's the same dude. But then to come to find out, it was like, this feels kind of like I don't know if you've watched Euphoria
Not yet,
at all.
no.
Yeah. But it felt very much like kind of like a Euphoria type of vibe to it. And so once he popped up, I was like, I feel like that, Sam Levinson might have something to do with this. And sure enough, he did.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Screenplay, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you're right. Toxic relationship. Now here's what I realized. So the movie was fantastic in my opinion.
Yikes.
Up until
I don't know if it's fantastic.
Okay, maybe that was a stretch. It was really good. It was really interesting. Like up until a certain point, you're just like, yo, what is gonna happen? Like eventually this dude's gonna snap.
Yeah.
It was like when they were having the pool party and it started raining. And then this is when he killed
Charlie.
Was this when he killed Charlie?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is when he killed Charlie. And from there, the movie takes like an awkward turn, right? Where now the police show up, they start investigating people. Ana de Armas's character Melinda is accusing her husband of murder.
Yeah, that was a bit strange in that she's like accusing him, and like even the cops don't take her too seriously. Of just like, maybe it's
okay. Clearly you all were the
only well-to-do white guys can get that type of.
Could you imagine if the cops show up, right, and then my girlfriend's like, yo, he fucking 100% did it. They might shoot me right there. Like, bow, bow, bow. Got him. But with Ben Affleck, the cops are just like,
I don't know, maybe.
Sir, might we ask you a question or two?
If it doesn't offend you.
Yeah, at your leisure, we don't mean to offend. And then they just...
It's like that Chappelle skit.
The prime murder suspect, his wife is literally saying, yo, my husband did it. He absolutely did it. And they just let him go. They let him like drive home. There's no like, we need you to come down to the station, ask you a few more questions. They just let him go, which I thought was insane. But anyway, it was at that point where the show or where the storyline kind of took another turn, right? Because I'm like, all right. His wife accused him of murder. She's very angry at him. The police are going to be investigating this shit. The dude, Don, was like, oh, let me talk to the sheriff as well. Like, I want to share my side of the story. So Don also said that he was the last person in the pool with Charlie, which kind of makes him a primary suspect, right? For some reason, none of that unfolds. Like, you never see the police again investigating him, watching him.
Because he's a well-to-do... But everybody in this movie apparently was well-to-do. But he's a well-to-do person.
Yeah.
So it's like this is how they get treated.
So, and then she just kind of like... Everything just continues as normal. She finds a new guy.
So I thought that was a weird choice to make, like stylistically, or I guess with the story itself. Mm-hmm. That was a weird sort of way to sort of take it, is that she just kind of just drops it.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna stick with that. Like, did he kill Charlie?
But it was very revealing in terms of just how crazy they both are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
That you have him who he actually did do it. And then you have her who actually does believe he did it, but kind of just doesn't care. She's just like, on to the next one.
Exactly.
And so, both of them are just fucking crazy together, which I think is again, an exaggerated sort of take on it. But I think it's a real sort of thing where you have two people who are in a relationship, and the fucking relationship is a fucking tornado, right? Mm-hmm. It just destroys everything in its path. But the two people are like, I'm still going to show up the next day, though. It's like
I'm going to like match your crazy, and I'm going to raise you a crazy. Like, And now this is like, we both love each other. We have a kid, we have a family, but it's like, like, you think you crazy? I'm going to show you crazy. You know what I mean?
It's just not worth it, dude.
But that is where the movie for me took a turn. Before I thought it was, this is really good. I want to see what happens. Yeah. Then it was like, they're just going to keep repeating this shit. Mm-hmm. She's going to find a new guy in town, in this small town. If I meet a woman and I'm like, she's like, oh, yes, I am married. I'm like, okay, obviously you're stepping out on your husband. If I'm interested, then.
Yeah, I thought the guys were a little crazier than her. Because it's like,
if
how weird is that?
Now, granted, if a married woman, if she's like, hey, like, this is how our marriage works, and my husband's fine with it, blah blah blah.
Husband staring you down like he's about to chop you up.
Also,
what the fuck?
If the husband is allegedly being accused of having killed,
I feel like
several people,
I don't want anything to do with this situation.
Pussy's not that good. You know what I mean? Like,
to risk my life, my life?
Yeah, no.
Nah, we're okay.
I'm gonna just jump on Pornhub real quick and get this out of here. Problem solved. But again, that's where the show took a turn for me, because it's like after he had killed the dude Charlie in the pool, all the evidence pointed to him. He came in from outside, his lip or his mouth was bleeding, his fingers were burned. His wife said he did it. Don also
I think
saw it.
The and this is a small thing, but I think the burn on the fingers was to prove that he came inside and like didn't have anything to do with it. I think it was
remember,
like little thing.
When he first came inside, his lip was bleeding, and then he touched I think like the hot stove or the hot cookies to.
But I think that was because he was trying to build an alibi for himself.
Exactly. But it's like
I was inside eating cookies.
But like, dude, no, I saw you were the last one in here.
But you notice
how your lip was bleeding.
But that was another aspect to it that I thought was actually a good touch, which was you saw how people reacted to him because he was this rich dude, because he had been in this neighborhood or whatever for X amount of time. I think they said like 8 years he had been in
he was a
place.
Prominent figure within the community.
Figure within the community. So it's like nobody even thought to even like be like, he was outside a little bit longer than everybody else. Like everybody was just so quick to just give him the benefit.
He was
of the
outside with the man who we all know is sleeping with his wife, who now is dead, and he came in with his lip bleeding
5 minutes after the other person who said they were outside with him.
When I kind of like said, all right, this is just some fuck ass shit. This movie is not going anywhere. You're like, okay, you got me in the first half, but now you're not going to fool me anymore. It is when, remember he and his wife and Trixie, they went up to like the lake or whatever, to have like a picnic or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And, she left her scarf there. Yeah. Right. And I think he had already like submerged the was it?
Yeah, he tried to weigh him down with rocks.
Joel, whose body was this? It was Tony's body. Yeah, Tony. Try to weigh him down with rocks, submerge him under the water in a very visible open space. Like, you got to do a better job of hiding a body than that.
In daylight, like
exactly. So anyway, they go back to the spot. His body kind of like resurfaces. He pulls Trixie away from the water. They head home. She left her scarf. He's like, I'll go back the next day, obviously to try again to like submerge the body. And then the dude Don shows up there, right?
Well, so I actually kind of heard about this. Is that this is based off a book, obviously. In the book, Melinda asked Don to go get the scarf because maybe he was like on his way to kind of in that area or something like that. Mm-hmm. So she supposedly calls Vic and is like, hey, Vic, you don't need to worry about the scarf. Don's going to go ahead and pick it up for me because he's like closer to the place, because they had built kind of a relationship because they essentially were trying to accuse him, Vic, of murder. But in the movie, they don't explain any of that. You just see him show up with the scarf and you're like, well, why? Yeah. Why the fuck did he just show up with the goddamn scarf?
But here's the best part. Here's where I was like, yo, all right, this is some fuck shit.
Yeah.
So Don sees that Ben Affleck's character, Vic, is like clearly trying to hide a dead body.
Yeah.
Don gets rattled, jumped in his Subaru Forester, right? All-wheel drive. He should have had no problem driving down this back road, right? I mean, listen, all four wheels, everything you need to go off-road is in the Subaru Forester.
Yeah.
But like a dumbass, Don was so like excited about this. Oh, this is a book. And he's trying to like text and send an email, and while he's driving really and I'm like, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, some dumbass shit's gonna happen. They're gonna make Don crash. They're gonna make this so easy for Vic to like solve this problem, right? But that's not it. That's not where they stopped. Ben Affleck apparently was training for the Tour de France, right? Because he had, or Vic's character, because like he jumped on his, not a trail bike,
fucking
he jumped on his 1-speed cruiser Bro, he was fucking zooming through the woods down. And I don't know if you really noticed in the scene, but the path that he was riding the bike down through the woods was like, well, no, it was partially paved. So it was like if you watch really closely, it was like a somewhat of a paved random path that he just happened to find that took him exactly where he needed to go. But it did say
that he did bike a lot.
He would bike a lot all the time. Yeah. But on that type of bike through the woods, he would have ran over a log or hit a dip or just
busted his ass somehow.
Smashed into a fucking tree. He was going like 70 miles per hour downhill on a 1-speed touring bike. He didn't have like off-road tires or nothing. And then he manages to catch up to Don. And I think Don drove off a cliff or some shit like that.
Yeah, and if you're Don, I suspect that if you think this dude is how am I trying to phrase this? Like, would you be that quick to try to get out of because you know what's going to happen if you swerve off you're 100% going to get in an accident.
You're going to hit a tree, you're going to hit a dip.
You're probably going to die.
Exactly.
So it's like you're putting your life on the line for the person you know has committed murder. And you're like swerving out of the way because
if I'm Don, let me get back somewhere safe.
Although I guess the idea is maybe he didn't know. Like you just see somebody pop out of nowhere in the road. You don't even look to see who the fuck it is. You just try to.
I'm running 100%. I don't give a fuck.
You're running him over.
Yo, listen. If I know I'm being chased by someone who already just killed somebody, I'm not. What?
That is kind of wild.
Listen, I don't care if you were actually just hiking out there. Listen,
yikes. Jesus Christ.
You should be watching out for me. Okay, you're the pedestrian. There's no crosswalk there. Legally,
the dude fell.
Sometimes we fall. So
why do we fall, Bruce?
But Don was just being reckless and careless. That email, that text message, whatever he was trying to send, he could have sent afterwards once he got to safety.
I like that touch because it showed you what Don's motivation was. It wasn't like
Don didn't care. Don was an author. He was trying to write his next book.
Yeah, he just wanted a good story. And honestly, I think the way I choose to look at it is it's a good critique on, because I feel like there are people 100% like Don, meaning like fucking the most heinous shit could be happening and they're thinking like, wait till I put the pen down on this shit. This is gonna be
we see it all the time, right? Yeah. We see videos all the time online of like people being beaten, stabbed.
There's that one famous moment of Tyler the Creator watching somebody get I think it was like he was getting pranked on like punked or something like that, and it was like somebody who's like on fire. Instead of like helping or calling 911, he was just getting it on his phone. It's like, at no point did you think, maybe I should help this person who's on fire currently. Yeah. Instead of just capturing it on my fucking phone.
More important than that, we've seen like hundreds of situations where, you look at what happened to George Floyd, right? Yeah. Now, granted, you're not supposed to interfere in a police investigation, in an arrest. You'll be arrested too.
That's a tough one.
So yes, it is.
Yeah, that's tough.
But
I mean, come on. Like if we're watching the cops currently like having their knee on the back or on the neck of a guy, I don't know that many people who are against cops.
Sure. Yes. You know why? Is because we like put
that's a tough ass.
We put police officers up on this pedestal where it's like we cannot.
They basically can legally shoot you. So
sure, you can, but like there were like at least like 10 people around him that were essentially recorded. Yes, and it's tough to know what to do in that situation. Yeah. But at a certain point, like we are all so quick to record shit and then like cry about what we recorded.
I think that they for the circumstances, I feel like they did the best that they could, meaning that they could have just been like, oh shit, that shit's fucked up. What's happening to him? All right, I'm gonna go to Arby's. Like,
dude, I don't know. Like, if 10 people, if everybody were to put their phones down and say, you know what, we are not gonna let this happen.
But it's different. Like if you see that it's like a gang or something like that, or like it's just regular people who are doing it, of course, step in. I just had some shit happen the other day where I saw some dude like scuffling with a woman on the side of the street. Now it turned out she was a little disturbed and she did some shit to him, but I was just like, I literally was driving my car. My car almost hopped the fucking curb because I didn't even put it in park before I got out of the car.
Yeah.
not knowing the situation, and I saw the dude like kind of messing with his waistband. I was like, all right, shit, I don't know what I just walked in on, but fuck, right? So I get that impulse, but when it's the cops, it's different. Not because it's like, oh, I have such respect for the cops. More so is because I know they can do whatever the fuck they want, and it doesn't fucking matter.
But again, what I'm saying is like you have all these people watching, like 10 people watch this thing happen, right? And you have like 3 or 4 police officers that I think there was a total of 4 or 5 police officers that were like right there in the scene. If these 10 citizens say, you know what, we are going to intervene, we're not going to let this thing happen, the police are not going to arrest all 10 of those people.
They definitely would. 100%.
And even if someone's life was still saved, and again, I'm not blaming those people for not interfering.
People might lose their lives because they probably going to get shot.
But like, is it not? I'm not saying it's like worth the risk, but like, I believe in these situations, like it is. Like, we have to put our phones down and like stop recording shit, and people have to act more.
And this is besides our entire point of talking about this, but I think that's an extreme. That's like the extremist. So
I'm picking a very prominent, well-known situation that we can talk about. But like, I've seen even smaller situations, right, where like someone is being attacked or someone's being like something's happening, and someone, instead of like choosing to like, hey, I'm going to try and intervene to like stop this fight or to like prevent this thing from escalating, what so many people are trying to do is like, I want to get the footage. I want to be the one who 100%. Captures it, even if what I'm capturing is someone dying, and like I could have intervened to help.
Like way. there's one of I think there's like a dude like drowning or some shit like that.
Yeah. So there was an incident. It was like 4 teenagers who recorded a man drowning. Because they wanted to post it and get likes and shares or whatever. But like they all could have like tried to save his life.
Yeah. So again, in that situation, I think that's really fucked up, and I think that's 100% on them. That like, and who knows if they knew how to swim themselves, but still, like, do something, anything to fucking help this person drowning.
Something, but put your phone down and try and do something. Throw him a fucking floaty or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you just have a floaty. I don't know. You just pull it out of your back pocket. But to get back to the movie, like I think that I liked that moment, not necessarily because I thought it like was the most sort of the most, not necessarily elegant way to, how am I trying to say this, like the most kind of a slick way to do it, right? It was clearly like heavy-handed what they were the picture that they were trying to paint there, but it still drove the point home nonetheless, is that we care more about the story than we do the reality. Right? So it wasn't about, oh man, Vic is a murderous psychopath, and he has to be brought to justice for the crimes that he's committed. It's, this story is fire, dude. Yeah, and I just witnessed it.
This is gonna get me a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, it's and we were so quick to say that, oh, it's about the people with their phones, but in reality, this has been happening forever. Like I remember watching Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler, and just watching just how fucked up he kind of drove himself, because he was just desensitized to it. But it wasn't because, I mean, he did have actual camera, but this has been going on for so long.
You go from wanting to like capture the news to like, all right, well,
to making the news.
Now I'm going to create the story, right? And that's like kind of like what Vic was doing here, is like, I don't give a fuck about who, Don's character. He didn't care about who Vic had just killed. He cared about writing the story and him being able to tell the story in from his perspective. And then obviously like the money that it is to be made from such like a glaring story like this. So again, after that, I think after all of this happened, this is where the movie took a fucking turn for me. You got Ben Affleck fucking 90 miles per hour riding through the woods, didn't hit one tree, didn't hit a leaf, didn't fall once, like just perfect. I mean, this was like Lance Armstrong type shit.
Nah, it was probably a little bit more than Lance Armstrong. He was
Lance
roads,
didn't Lance was on like wide, clean paved roads with water bottles. Ben just raw, it's pure talent this guy had. And then again, all of the things just keep happening. New relationship, no police investigation. And what I realized, the switch came when in the beginning you thought Melinda was crazy. But then after a certain point you realize like, oh, Vic is crazy too. And she does what she does because she wants her husband to feel passionate towards her, like so passionate that he would kill for her.
Which is crazy, right? So I was going to say this at the beginning of this whole thing, but the idea of toxic relationships, right? That instead of so I was watching this thing on Facebook, and this is honestly before even watching the movie. I was watching this. And it was this guy who was like saying like, you know, it was like a podcast and there were like women there, and it was like basically like kind of like a round table, and the caption above the clip was, "I see no lies here," and I listened to it, and it was the guy basically talking about, oh well, there's all these women talking about that they want traditional men.
I've seen this video.
They're not right. And what did you think when you saw that?
I mean, I thought he was kind of spot on with. So here's why. So what he was saying was like, basically there was these like women who, like one of the girls was like a porn star, and like some of them did like OnlyFans. Like these were women who like didn't necessarily like really like have like jobs or like, you know, what you define as a traditional woman is, maybe like a stay-at-home mom or, you know, a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, something like that, right? Who has like a normal job, comes home, takes care of the family, blah blah blah. So like these are like non-traditional women, but they had traditional expectations, right? They expected, I expect a man to be the breadwinner. I expect a man to court me. I expect a man to pay for dinners and to like pay for gifts and take me on trips and things like that, and to like treat me like a traditional woman, even though what I do for a living and how I live my life is non-traditional. So what he was saying was just like, you know, you can't expect a man to be traditional in the ways that benefit you when you are non-traditional.
Yeah. Here's why I think that's really stupid. The reason why I think that's really stupid is because it doesn't actually speak to the heart of the situation. It really is just throwing the same thing, like it's just throwing what the person is saying back in their face and saying, hey, if you want this, then how come, you know, you're not doing X, Y, or Z when, you know, you're asking for X, Y, or Z. Which I think is a really simplistic way of looking at relationships. I feel like the correct way to go about it is find the person that works for you, right? Instead of worrying about traditional, non-traditional, any of that shit, right? Fuck all that. Find the person that works for you.
Here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
What a lot of these women were saying on the podcast, they weren't necessarily talking about like, hey, I'm looking for a person who will accept me for who I am and who will give me the things that I need. That's not what they were saying. What they were saying was that like men today, generalizing most men, are like men are non-traditional.
But it's all a redundant conversation because they're generalizing, he's generalizing. Like they're both doing the same shit back to like, it's just holding a mirror up to each other.
Yeah. And like one of the ways that I can get you to understand that what you're saying is wrong is if I use your logic against you. So it's like you're saying you want a traditional man, but you're a non-traditional woman. That's the stance he took.
What my argument is not necessarily that he's necessarily. I personally think he's wrong, but that's not what I'm trying. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that he's not saying anything different than what they're saying. They're saying the same shit to each other. It's just he thinks he's high-minded because he's just saying the same shit back to them, right?
So, but I think he was right, and I think he essentially was using her logic against her.
No, but that's what my argument is. If you're going to use somebody's logic against them, right? That's at times that can be an easy. That's an easy out, meaning that I just have to show you your hypocrisy because that's all he was trying to essentially do is show them how they're being hypocrites, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that doesn't get you out of the fucking scenario, right? So if the whole thing is about, okay, well, if you're asking for traditional men, then how come you're not being a traditional woman, right? But that's not actually changing the actual scenario, right? That's not changing anything. That's not saying anything. He's not saying anything to them, right? He's essentially saying, hey, I want you to stop doing OnlyFans and I want you to start baking for me. Like that's essentially what the fuck he's saying.
No,
if what they're requiring is, or if they're what they're saying they want is a traditional man, right?
Yeah.
Then he's essentially saying, hey, you need to be traditional woman. Okay, perfectly fine thing to say, but it's also stupid because it doesn't actually fucking change anything in the scenario, right?
No, I think it does. I disagree with that. I think that like what he was saying was like, in order for you to have a certain expectations, and I'm going to use your logic against you, right? Mm-hmm. You have certain expectations of men, but you do not hold yourself to those same standards.
But this is kind of what my point is that God, what is?
It's back. Yeah.
It might be my phone.
Yeah. No, I do feel like that is his logic there was sound to me, because it's like, I'm going to take what you're saying and I'm going to show you the reverse. And when I show you the reverse, you're not going to like that because your logic to begin with was flawed.
No, but he and here's the one part of what he was saying that got me to understand sort of where his perspective was, right? Is that he was saying, oh, you guys, you're wondering why you're getting all these new dudes and their stupid shit that they do. And I guess what I was taking from that was that he was trying to say, like, okay, because men are like maybe more sensitive nowadays, or maybe less what we call manly nowadays. That's a natural result of women not being traditional women, that you're getting untraditional men because women aren't being traditional, like, tradition dictates, right? But I what I'm trying to say is the flaw in that argument is saying that for every generalization that they do, he's also doing, right? So when you say, oh, well, and I'm assuming that he would want a traditional woman because he would maybe fancy himself a traditional man, right? The problem with that is when we try to fit like, because the entire time I was thinking to myself, like, what the fuck even is traditional, right? Like, what does that actually mean? It's different for everybody.
Yeah. Right? I mean, granted, we know what it means. Yes, like
no, we don't know what it means. That's my argument.
Well, for the most part, when we look at like marriages, right? Traditional marriage is a husband, there's a wife, they get married, they do not like cheat on each other. In ideally,
what culture are you? Because that's
so. I mean, we're just focusing on just like general American culture, how in America we view weddings, right, or view marriages. Mm-hmm. You husband and wife, man and woman meet each other, they fall in love, they get married, they start a family, they raise their children, they grow old, they hopefully they have a happy, successful marriage, and
there's a reason why, especially during like the 90s, or I guess not starting in the 80s, but definitely in the 80s, growing heavier in the 90s. Definitely growing heavy in the 2000s. We saw the divorce rate just tick up
70%.
Exactly, right? So we wonder, why is that, right? Because we were so young at that point, right? Our generation was so young that we weren't fucking getting divorced. It was our parents getting divorced. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they were? Because they try to fit themselves into these fucking narrow fucking definitions of traditional. Oh, you do this, I do this. You do that, I do this, but that's what fucks you up, because people are weird and they just do weird shit, right? And they want weird shit, right?
Yeah.
So instead of accepting that about ourselves, we hold ourselves to these weird, rigid sort of definitions of traditional, but that's what gets us fucked up, right? That's what gets us in scenarios where we're fucking chasing people down, because we can't admit to ourselves what we actually want. So that's why I even brought that clip up.
Yeah.
Is because instead of finding somebody who complements who we are, instead of Melinda going out and finding somebody who actually is fucking okay with her lifestyle, not necessarily by just being like, I'm going to sit on the sidelines and be grumpy and be okay, but actually be like, what, fuck it. If you're doing that, all right, that's what I like to do too. Let me go do that. You know what I mean? Instead of finding somebody like that, instead of Vic to find somebody who doesn't do that and shit, they're just like, no, we're just going to be miserable together, but also kind of turned on by it.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Like, that's what in the beginning I thought, like, Vic is the victim, right? He's the victim of this like woman who's like taking advantage.
No, 100%.
Listen to where I'm going. Listen to where I'm going.
Fair enough.
So like in the beginning, it seems like he's the victim, and his wife is just this like this adulterer, right? This like cheater who's having these extramarital relationships, and then you realize that Vic is not that much of a victim because he knows what's going on. He's aware of it and he allows it. Like even he says, I don't ask my wife those questions. Yeah. Meaning that like either he was aware of what was going on and just accept it, or he wanted to remain, like live in this space of like, I don't know for sure, and I'd rather not ask the question, because if I do ask the question, I will get. And like, remember when she stayed out that night and she came home the next morning and she was like, ask me and I'll tell you everything. And he refused to ask her because he truly did not want to know. Right. Mm-hmm. But here's what I realized towards the end of the movie. They may actually be a match because, and she said it herself, if you were married to anyone else, you would be bored out of your mind. Right. Mm-hmm. She, in a way, kind of gave him like the excitement that he wanted. Right. Oh, my wife found another man. She's stepping out on me and I'm going to find out who he is. I'm going to like do my research. I'm going to stalk him. And I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna kill him, and that's like I feel like that kind of like gave Vic some type of gratification, a sense of like dominance or whatever it might have been. So like she, and like they would set each other up. It would be like set up, knock down, right? She would find a new man, a new love interest, cheat. Vic would kill the dude, and then next week she's like, that was fun. I'm gonna go find somebody else. And like they were feeding each other's toxic desires. She wanted him to have this like burning, rageful passion for her, and he wanted to like, oh, this you're my wife, you're my possession, and I will kill for you. So in the end, I feel like they were good for each other, but in just the most toxic way.
Yeah, but I think that calls back to sort of like the idea of being well adjusted, right? That I think we all can find ourselves in this space where we're doing really fucked up shit because like we just need somebody to like unleash that like side of us of just like fuck it, just let go and do some crazy shit. But also we don't want to go to jail. And also we don't want to murder people. I would think generally, right? That's generally the fucking rule is we don't want to murder people.
Except for the people who get murdered every day. Yes. Someone's murdering them.
But I think you're right in the sense that they pushed each other's buttons, but they didn't like leave each other. They kind of found it a little bit exciting, right? But the problem with that is that if you, I'm going to use this as an example. If you're with somebody and all they want to do is go rob like liquor stores, right? And the first time you do it, you're like, this is exhilarating. Holy shit, right? This is exhilarating. Robbing a liquor store. My adrenaline's pumping. I can't believe we got away with that, right? Do it the second time. Okay. That's still the effect. But also the cops, I don't know. I feel like they're putting together a case here. They might be they might be putting this together, right? Well, my point is sure, it's exhilarating, but also your life is going to be destroyed after a while, yeah. Right? So that's not actually complimenting your life. That's feeding into your worst impulses, right? That's making you worse in ways you can't even fucking fathom, right?
Yeah.
Like
some people live for that short-term high, even if it's going to come to an end.
But I think sometimes it's because you don't think you have an alternative, right? So what if Vic could find somebody who's just as wild and crazy as Melinda, but she just didn't cheat on him, and she just was doing all the kind of the same shit that she does, except for she just didn't do that. You know?
Vic just need to let her like start an OnlyFans or something like that. You know what I mean? Just do it online. Stop inviting these motherfuckers into my house. And he made him
having dinner.
He made him lobster bisque. What? Yo, if you invite...
Yeah, I knew he was a psychopath right after that movie. I was like, this is crazy.
At a certain point, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, yo, OJ would have never let none of this shit happen. I'm like, we should invite OJ on the show to get his take.
Yeah, we really should. That should not
be Twitter world.
Yikes. To kind of wrap this up, though, I think that watching that clip of the social media clip, it sort of crystallized for me sort of I think what is missing in the thought pattern, because I feel like people would listen to that dude and be like, yo, preach, yo, you speaking facts, right? But in reality, what all he's saying is, yo, let's just run the same shit we've been doing back for forever, right? Let's just keep doing that.
See, I still disagree, because I feel like what he was trying to say was like, our expectations are unrealistic on both sides, right? For women who are, not, and again, like, what is traditional? And like, let's stop using these words, first of all, because what does traditional even mean? That word could have 10 different meanings for 10 different people. Right. So as a woman, stop wanting, a man to be like your grandfather, because times have changed, right? You can't want a man to like be the sole provider and breadwinner anymore.
But I don't think that, and again, I think it's unfair because we didn't see sort of what the women said in this situation.
Yeah. Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I saw small clips.
I watched the whole thing. It was like an hour-long conversation.
Yeah, I didn't see what the women said, so it's hard for me to be like, this is exactly where they were coming from. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine that if you've got an OnlyFans, if you're doing all this, like, I'm assuming you're not like, hey, I need somebody else to pay for everything for me, but And again, I don't.
So I watched the whole clip.
Yeah.
What a lot of those women were
The
saying
whole
was like
clip or the whole
podcast? Whole podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like an hour plus, right?
Sure.
Or that conversation at least.
Yeah.
And a lot of what those women were saying was like they want like they feel like men are no longer like chivalrous and men no longer do the things that like their grandfathers used to do, right? Whereas like they would court a woman, they would take care, like the man would be the sole breadwinner and the sole provider.
Now I might argue. Again, I didn't listen to the podcast, but there's a difference between courting somebody and being the sole provider for somebody.
Yeah, now, again, I'm telling you what they were saying.
Now, was it the same person saying these?
No, it was a bunch of different women, and like they were all kind of like a lot of them were on the same page of like, you know, the man should court, he should pursue, you know, men should. Yeah. Right. And like some of these women were like, oh, like, you know, a man on a dinner date, like if he doesn't spend like $500 on like the first date, then like he doesn't really like he's not. But he's not invested in you. And it's like, well, why does a first dinner date have to cost $500? And how is that traditional or non-traditional?
I'm not speaking to whether this is sound, right, for women to be expecting whatever they're expecting. But what my point is that instead of just saying, hey, well, it's about tradition, and if you want a guy to be traditional, then you've got to be traditional yourself. What I'm trying to say is that's so lame and so antiquated in terms of that's a really simplistic way of like looking at it. But the correct way, and you know, sometimes I try not to be as bold as to say the correct way, but in this case, I really do believe the correct way to look at it is you just have to find the person who fucking works for you, right? So whatever like, fucking
if you listen to the whole podcast, that's where it kind of got to, right? So like the reason why he used her logic against her was to show her that like, yo, your logic is flawed, and it is not about finding. How
is your logic flawed when you're saying I want this out of another person?
Because she wasn't saying that she wants that for her person. She was saying that is how men.
But I think we're all mature enough to understand that if somebody's saying that, they're speaking it from their perspective.
Sure, yes. But what she was saying was that from her perspective, men in general are this way.
Sure.
Men are no longer this. And what he was trying to say is like, all right, well, you cannot say that men are not traditional when you and like all the women that were there were also like, you know, non-traditional. So like, let's divorce ourselves of this like this frame of mind where it's like we're stuck to tradition.
But again, at the end of the day, I saw he was saying firmly that that's essentially like what he was voting for. Is that like, yo, you can't say that you want a traditional dude if you're not traditional yourself. And it seemed like that's but that's
not all he said in the clip. Sure. You can, if you just watch that clip, you're gonna get a very like narrow perspective, like what the whole conversation. Sure. At the end of the day, you know, we just need to stop using these words of like tradition. Like no, just you are who you are, and you should want whatever you want.
Oh, hold on one second, we gotta get ourselves back here. Seem to have lost.
Yep, I'm still gonna give you some more audio. You are who you are, and you want what you want, but your wants are not the norm, and or at least they are not the standard. Every person, every man, and not every woman is going to fit your standard of like what you need in a relationship to be happy. So we got to stop expecting that of people, right? You need to just find the person who's best for you, and that's it. There is no, in my opinion, there is no like one size fits all standard anymore. The world has changed too much.
So we're
and I feel like that's where it went. You gotta watch the whole thing. It was a great conversation. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
Vic, Melinda, this deep water movie. Again, I thought it was really good up until a certain point. Then it started to lose me. This is just a micro examination of, you know, what we would call like a very toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas these two people, like, they are fucked up people, but they may be right for each other. They're just bad people.
Who would win in a face-off? You know what I'm about to ask. Vic or Joe?
I would say, to be honest, I would say Vic, because what Joe got away with was just like,
it's comical.
Yo, it was insane what Joe would get away with. Joe would be like, yeah, like go down those steps, like into that basement. Just go ahead.
Lock yourself in that room.
Yeah, okay, cool. Don't look behind you while I grab this brick and hit you over the head. Vic was in the pool with homie. Vic was just like, yo, it's me versus you, and it's gonna be me.
Strap up.
Vic didn't try and fool nobody. He was just like, yo, it's me versus you, and I'm gonna win.
Yeah, it was during that Batman training that Vic was getting loose in the
yeah, you know what this their relationship reminded me of really quickly. Remember the movie Devil All the Time, where there was the husband and the wife. I forget the actor's and actress name, and he enjoyed her like finding and sleeping with other men, and then they would take pictures, and then they'd eventually kill the other guy. This is kind of one of those types of relationships.
Yeah, where they both and then at the end, Melinda basically helps kind of cover things up by burning the and Trixie. I think we've forgotten to sort of include her in all this.
They forgot to include her. They would just drop her off at school, call the nanny. That nanny was getting bread. The one night when
that was a stack.
The one night when they came home, he paid her $500, right?
No, I don't think it was 500.
It was 500.
It was 100.
No, it was 5.
No. It was 100. I distinctly remember hearing $100. It's $100, right, for 5 hours.
Fuck no. What? That's $20 an hour. No.
What do you think babysitters are making? Like, what do you think? It's a fucking
babysit make a shit ton of money.
$500 for 5 hours? Are you crazy?
Yes. What? No. Like my old roommate, she used to be a babysitter for this wealthy family.
And made $500 for $500 for 5 hours.
She made $2,000 a week.
Is that the same thing as $500 for 5 hours?
I don't know what the math is, but like she was getting paid. So $2,000 a week. God. That's like what? How much a day? Anyway, babysitters make bank. I'm not babysitting a kid for $20 an hour.
Yeah, because you're not 15.
So I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
What the fuck?
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I remember because it was $500 that he paid her for that night.
Okay. I'm
telling you, I saw it. It was in the movie.
Okay. All right.
This is a fact.
Now, do you want to bet on this?
Yes.
Are you willing to take a bet on this?
Let's bet a bottle of bullet.
Okay, let's bet a bottle of bullet.
All right.
I need a new bottle.
Now, this was when he came home from after the night when Charlie drowned in the pool, the police investigation. He came back, blah blah blah. Yeah. He paid her $500.
Guaranteed that did not happen, but fair enough.
All right.
Trixie in all of this. Now she was actually a key character because she was essentially like a reflection of Vic and Melinda's insanity. That she was essentially asking Vic, like, nah, you did it, nigga, didn't she?
Yeah, she was like, I know you did it. You just don't want me to believe you did. And he was
like, nah, I didn't do it. He's like, nah, you did that shit.
But here's why I fuck with Trixie, because she still held it down.
Yeah.
She was like, I know you did it, but
she wasn't giving him up.
No. She's not going.
No.
I'd want to believe that my daughter would do the same for me. She's like, Dad, I know you did it, but I'm not going to say anything.
Never put your daughter in that position where she has to.
Listen, I might need her one day to hold me down.
Jesus Christ!
Listen, when they ask you if I did it, I hope not. I hope I never put her in that situation. But if we're there, I need you to hold me down, baby.
Jesus. All right. But then also with Melinda, Melinda's packing the bags up. She's about to leave because she just found out that Vic actually did murder Tony, so she's about to get the fuck out of there. And ironically enough, the first scene we see in the movie is actually the last scene.
I love that.
See.
Yeah.
But I love the subtlety of it. Right, we didn't know it was going to lead up to that moment. It kind of came out of nowhere that we ended where we began.
That first bike ride home, that first scene may have been him coming from killing the first guy.
I think that's exactly what it was. With the first guy, what do you mean?
So remember the first person they found the body?
No, I think it was confirmed because when he was boasting, you see the progression, and that's why I really actually like the movie.
They did find the killer of the first guy.
They found the killer.
Was it a setup?
No. They found the killer, but also that guy was shot, and Vic tells the fucking Joel, whatever his name is, I think it was Joel. Tells Joe that he hit him in the back of the head or something like that. And so I think that's where that's where it all started with him, meaning that, and I love that setup because it was you see the progression in him that he hasn't just been this murderous psychopath the entire time, although it seems like he's been a psychopath the entire time.
Yeah.
But you see the progression where it goes from him just lying about it and joking about it and thinking, well, what if I really actually did that shit?
Like, could I get away with it?
Yeah, I'm smart enough, I guess, to get away with it. And then he just sees this dude in the pool and he's like, well, fuck it, let me just do it, So I like story-wise, I like the progression that they take with this character. But really quick, back to Trixie. I feel like she's the key to the whole thing because she's like the reflection of both Melinda and Vic. And also she takes so Melinda's packing her bag up. She's like, I'm about to leave because I just found out Joel that Vic murdered Tony. And I'm getting the fuck out of here. And then Trixie just takes her bag and is like, no, the fuck we not.
Yeah.
You ain't even doing that shit. And she just throws it in the pool and is like, fuck that.
Yeah,
you know?
we're a family.
What
family business.
What is my dude from the Ozark? What does Bird say?
Who, Marty?
Yeah, Marty Bird. He's the fuck we're not. You know?
Yeah.
The fuck we are. And so Trixie's like, nah, we're not going for that.
Yeah.
And then Melinda's like, all right, I guess. Hey, I know
Trixie's
the boss.
like, you can't testify against your husband in court. You're not going anywhere. She was a very smart little girl. You saw what she was doing with the potatoes and the electricity. That was dope.
Yeah. And then we see Melinda basically burning Tony's ID, essentially helping
destroying
to sort
the
of cover
evidence.
it up. So we see sort of the completion of the circle here, where we're not sure who knows what throughout the movie, but then by the end it becomes very clear that, oh, okay, we know that Vic, for instance, knew she was cheating the entire time, didn't necessarily kill her first sort of side piece, but then definitely killed the subsequent side pieces.
Yeah.
Except for Joel, who escaped, I guess, California, whatever, New Mexico, where the fuck he went to. And then we see Melinda, who doesn't know that he's a murder psychopath until he actually does murder somebody. And even
But
after
in
she
the end,
finds out,
she
she's like,
helps him.
it
She
is what
covers
it
it
is.
up. Yeah.
So they're both fucking crazy. I think they both deserve each other in the sense that they're both still in the relationship for some fucking weird ass reason.
Yeah. Hopefully Trixie will be okay. She's probably gonna kill at some point.
Yeah, she's definitely on the path.
Yeah. Again, like, this would be if I met Melinda and she's like, oh yeah, I'm married and I've got my husband.
Give that up, man.
First of all, I don't know if I want to get involved in that messy situation.
Dude.
But if like she's like, oh yeah, my husband's he's being investigated for murder, definitely not. So I'm just like, who are, and like, this is a small town. Like, apparently, remember when Vic joked about having killed the first guy and everybody in the town knew?
By the
so
end of it,
after the whole situation with Charlie,
for sure,
everybody in the town like, Vic probably he joked about killing the first guy and he's being investigated for drowning Charlie.
Yeah, why would you want to involve yourself in this scenario?
Yeah, I'm gonna swipe
like
left or whatever.
Yeah, nobody's that good where you're just like, let me risk it for the biscuit here. Like,
listen,
we're good.
Melinda,
we're good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that chance.
Yo, and I'm telling you right now, man, whatever your sexual urges are, fucking find another outlet. Like, if you have to start murdering people in order to fucking have sex, or if you have to fucking have adulterous relationships in order to have sex with your significant other, anything.
Or just go to an orgy, group sex, be a cuckold or whatever. Is it cuckold, right?
Yeah, cuckold. Or just, again, find somebody who actually, that's their shit.
Yeah.
There are people in the world that works for. Find them. Don't find the murderous psychopath who's going to murder everybody who you. And then, it was weird movie. I liked it for the most part. I thought it was a little cartoonish at some points.
Yeah,
but
it was toxically interesting. It was like,
interesting.
This
it was
is
interesting. I thought it was going to sort of turn out to be sort of a, and I was like, man, Ben Affleck really likes these movies where he's like, I didn't do anything, and
Gone Girl.
Yeah.
This movie. What was there was another one that he did.
I heard about this. I didn't watch that one though. I heard about it though.
I forget the name of it, but Ben Affleck's been on a roll. I love Ben Affleck. He can do no wrong. In real life, him and Ana de Armas, they were dating for a while. So after his divorce with Jennifer Garner, then he and Ana de Armas were dating. He dated another joint, I forget who it was, and then now he's back with J-Lo. Bro, listen, he's winning. King Affleck, love him.
I feel like he's constantly fighting his alcoholism, so I don't know if he's necessarily winning so much as just surviving.
So he's surviving very well. Surviving better than most. Shout out to Lil Rel too. I thought he did good in this movie. He was like,
actually the movie where I didn't find him annoying. I didn't object to him.
No, he was good. He was
usually I find him very annoying.
The two shows. So I've been watching Insecure lately. I like him in Insecure. I like him in this.
I feel like his part was like a little too small for me to even like really.
It was good. It was just enough. He was there. He wasn't there. When he was there, I believed his character in this movie.
Oh, but you're getting into Insecure now. I know that's a little change up.
Yeah.
For the longest time, you weren't into it.
Yeah, like I was watching other things, but like I recently picked it up. I think I'm in like season like 2 or 3 now. Good, great show.
Yo, fire show. I love the show.
But yeah, anyway, shout out to Lil Rel. He did his thing in the show.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So now that we moved through all that, let's get to our first trailer. We got a trailer. We got a trailer for the movie Men, which is another A24 film. This is about a young woman who goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside after the death of her ex-husband. This is directed by Alex Garland, and shout out to Fabe. Alex Garland was the same person who directed. I can't want to say Parasite. It definitely wasn't Parasite. It was
Annihilation.
Annihilation. And we had that very classic argument with Fabe about that. But this stars Jesse Buckley, Rory Kinner, Gail Rankin, and Papa Asaidu, I believe. Asaidu. I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but oh well. And is due out May 20th of 2020. Without further ado, let's check out the trailer for Men.
Hello.
Hi.
Mrs. Marlowe, yes?
Harper, yes.
Do, come in.
The words I have to say.
It's a beautiful house.
But they're
Would
true.
it just be you staying, or
Excuse me?
Mrs. Marlowe?
No.
Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do.
Apple from the garden?
Yeah, it was delicious.
No. Mustn't do that. Forbidden fruit.
Oh, God, sorry,
I'm joking.
Oh.
What?
You're tormented.
It feels more like...
Haunted.
Yeah. Something happened. My husband went upstairs to our balcony and let himself go.
You must wonder why you drove him to it.
Why? I didn't drive him to it.
I thought it'd be true. But if you had given him the chance to apologize, he'd still be alive.
What? A man followed me out of the woods. He was stalking me.
What makes you say that?
I saw him twice.
Twice. I don't know if he saw you once.
Want to play a game? You hide, I'll see.
You must feel an awful sense of guilt.
Stay away from me. Why are you doing that? What are you?
Freaky.
Interestingly disturbing. I like
Yeah.
it. I think A24 has just a rare,
Like,
really cool
nose,
knack for
right?
like picking movies that like
weird
no
movie.
one else is gonna put out a movie like this except for A24. I feel like they have a very, very particular taste.
Yeah.
And you know, they're not always gonna have the movie that it may not win like best picture, it may not have like the biggest director in it. It's not always gonna have the biggest stars. It's usually gonna have like people that you're not like super familiar with, or they have acting credits, but like they're not. Will Smith he may not do a A24 movie, but they just have a knack for picking these really, really interesting stories that tell great stories from these really unique perspectives, and I like it.
Yeah, and shout out to Jessie Buckley. So we know her from the movie I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is also a weird fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very fucking weird movie, along with, oh gosh, what's his name?
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons, yeah. Good.
Who's he?
good
Who's Jesse Plemons married to?
Kirsten Dunst.
Another, Kristen Dunst.
Yeah, she's also in a lot of weird shit. But also, I just finished watching Chernobyl. I don't. Did you ever watch that on HBO?
It's like a limited series, right?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yo, check that shit out. That shit will
it's really
freak
good.
you out. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's disturbing because it's reality, or at least what passes as reality. I know obviously it's not actually reality, but it based off of true events is essentially she's a great actress, dude, and she clearly loves these movies where she's just asked to do a whole bunch of weird ass shit. Jessie Buckley, the main actress that we were seeing in the movie. This looks disturbing, dude.
It does.
That left me with a very unsettled.
This is why I don't do countryside shit. People are like,
Yo,
I want a beautiful big house in the countryside.
Fam,
where
what movie have we ever watched where they just go to the countryside and it's just dope?
And it's just chill.
Yeah.
Like, they just have dope house parties and like nothing ever happens. Houses like these in the countryside, they're always haunted.
Come on, man.
There's always like a little girl or like a weird neighbor. Somebody died. Like, yo, I'm not
Cell receptions.
I want to be just
up.
outside the city. You know what I mean? Or fucking downtown.
I gotta have 4 bars. Wherever you're at that you don't have 4 bars, you don't need to be there. Why are you there?
If I can't get my shit delivered within like 1 to 3 business days, like I don't want to live there.
Why?
If it
Why
takes
do we have to be there?
a week for my shit to, or several weeks for my shit to get there because I'm so remote, I don't want to be there.
We don't need it. Yeah. If there's no,
if they won't find my body for like a month because like I'm just so remote. I don't want to be there.
If there's not 2-day shipping, if we can't do 2-day Amazon shipping. Where are you? Yeah. Literally, where are you on Earth?
Uber Eats or Grubhub or DoorDash, if they're like, we don't provide service to your area, I have no business being there.
Yeah, that place is not to be trifled with. But yeah, that was the movie Men from A24, starring Jessie Buckley, and is due out May 20th of this year. I will not be going to go check that out in theaters. I gather that I'll be so freaked out by the end of that I'll be paralyzed.
I just don't watch scary movies in theaters. Like, for me, I don't see the purpose. It's not a scary...
see the purpose of scary movies, period. But also, I don't necessarily see the purpose of them in theaters.
I like a good scary movie that, like, you know... And scary... Horror is not my genre.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate a good scary movie that has, like, a unique perspective. Like, damn, I haven't seen this shit before. But if I watch that, I want to, like, watch it from the comfort of my own home. I feel like that is the better experience than the theater.
I might argue differently than you. I would argue that if you see it in a theater, you could kind of just leave it in the theater. Whereas when you watch it at home, you're like, well, fuck. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, granted, when I'm watching it, it's during the daytime, right? And then as soon as the movie's over, let's turn on all the lights, open up the windows, let's go for a walk. The last scary movie I watched, it was 100% at like 1 p.m., like in the day.
What movie was that?
It was a scary movie on, I think it was like Malignant or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's on like HBO or something like that, right?
I couldn't tell you what the last scary movie, although I did go back and watch like some of like the slasher movies from the 80s and 90s. But I don't really count those as like horror movies. Like, I feel like this is just like a different vibe than like fucking Freddy popping out of nowhere with a fucking
this is a different brand of horror. Sure. This is more like
this is like psychological.
Psychological, just like troubling.
It's
disturbing.
Yeah, some shit that you're like, yo, if I was like spaced out on some fucking weed right now, this is actually pretty similar to an experience that I might have, which is not cool, right? But I remember seeing the last scary movie that I saw in the theater was Paranormal Activity 3, and people like clown that movie. Yo, I don't know if I could have ever been more freaked out by a movie than I was that particular movie. And one of the last movies that I remember watching at home that I was just like, yeah, this just isn't my vibe, was Hereditary. After watching Hereditary at home, I was just like, you know what?
Yeah,
horror movies just aren't my thing. You know,
Antlers was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah,
very good movie.
Okay, yeah.
Check it out. I think it's on HBO now. Antlers. I'm pretty sure it's on HBO. I highly recommend
it's another
you watch
A24. Unless I'm
yes,
correct.
I think so. Check it out. It's like it's scary as fuck, but it is very good.
Yeah. All right, let's check out another trailer here. A little different vibe. So this is actually, it is not one perfect shot. That we were going to do that, but then I saw that the trailer just dropped for The Offer, And so this is Oscar-winning producer Albert S. Rudy's never before revealed experience of making The Godfather of 1972. This is directed by Dexter Fletcher, or I guess maybe created, because this is I believe a series, and it's written by a combination of people: Michael Tolkien, Nikki Toscano, Leslie Greif, I believe, and of course starring Miles Teller, Matthew Goode, Juno Temple, who's always in weird shit too. Juno Temple has like a weird. I feel like I
have no idea who that is.
I feel like you've definitely seen her in something, for sure. Like I remember watching her in, I think it was Afternoon Delight. I think that's what the movie was called. I remember Josh Radnor was in it, the dude from How I Met Your Mother. But he wasn't like he was kind of a side character. He wasn't like one of the main characters.
I'm sure. Yeah, she looks familiar. I just don't know.
She's in Ted Lasso, so I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso.
I haven't seen Ted Lasso yet.
Okay. No. And also this is also starring Giovanni Ribisi, and is due out April 28th of this year. So let's check out the first full trailer for The Offer.
Listen here, Bob. Paramount is going to come crashing down. We need hits.
You've read The Godfather, right?
Godfather. Sure. Who hasn't?
We've been all over town. No one wants to make this movie. So I need you to produce it. Get going.
I can't believe you told me you read it. You better read fast on the plane.
Oh, yeah. That's big.
The Godfather is putting in us too many problems. You want me to take care of it?
Gangster movies are dead.
This is not just some gangster film. We need someone who understands Italians. For instance, Ford Coppola. He's got a great vision.
We have to put this in the picture.
A scene about gangsters arguing over sauce?
No. Scene about family arguing over sauce.
I got no cast.
Do you think Pacino is actually a possibility?
Cut it!
No Pacino.
Marlon Brando is interested.
He's a nutcase.
Can one thing go right with this picture?
You want to make a movie that's gonna make my people look like animals, and that ain't gonna happen.
I respect what you're saying, and I think I have a solution to our problem.
You're still gonna try and make this thing?
I got no choice.
I took a chance on you, and you stabbed me in the back.
I won't judge you if you need to walk away from this.
I'm not running either.
This is what it's all about. The excitement. The thrill. That's movie magic, baby.
All right, first full trailer for The Offer. My first thought out of it is, Colin Hanks' brother is Chet Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be weird.
Two very different guys. Two very, very different guys.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, is it same moms? It got to be like different moms or something like that. Because we both know Tom. Tom is there.
Colin's definitely.
Colin looks just like Tom, like
yeah.
the style of acting, the mannerisms. Like, he's very similar to his father. Chet, not so much.
I probably identify more with Chet, right? I think, there's this sort of like, there's this regalness about, I don't know why the fuck.
Regal is not the word I would use.
But there's like this atmosphere around Tom Hanks of like, oh my gosh, Tom Hanks, he's like so upstanding. He's yada yada, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I identify more with Chet. Was like, nah, I'm just a fuck up. I just fuck shit up constantly. Yeah.
I do think we all like identify with Chet because he's like clearly like the son of like one of the most famous, well-known actors in Hollywood, right? But like he still oddly has like a very like normal kind of like vibe about him, even though like it's not.
I don't know if I call it normal.
Remember that we watched that video that he put out where it's like and he's like, like being the son of a well-known celebrity, has his ups and downs with this like beautiful view of LA behind him in this $2.5 million condo.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to the trailer. The Offer, looks great. Nah, not to you.
I may or may not ever know. Listen, first things first, I don't have Paramount Plus. I don't plan on signing up.
Dude, they got me, man.
They got
me,
you?
and now they got me for like multiple months where like I was like, because I got it for a very specific
Oh,
reason.
we're going to cancel? They're like, we'll give you 3 more months.
No. I was going to cancel and then I literally just forgot. And then it hit and I was like, fuck, all right, whatever. I'll keep it for like the next month. And then I just keep forgetting to cancel it. And it's not that much. It's like 5 something, but it's just like I also don't watch. So the reason why I got it is because of Star Trek. I was trying to power through the whole Star Trek series, and for the month that I was watching it, you could only find certain things on Paramount Plus. And yeah, so they got me. So I'll be able to watch it.
Have you seen Halo yet? Halo's on Paramount Plus, right?
No, but I need to. I was actually just playing the original Halo this past week.
Yeah, that's the only reason I would get fucking Paramount Plus
to watch that
for Halo.
Yeah, I have not checked it out, but I will now that you brought that up. The original Halo still holds up. I was just playing it. Yeah, that shit still slaps.
Defined my childhood.
Yeah. I was somewhere.
Listen, if Master Chief came in here right now, like, yo, I need your help.
Strap up.
Let's go. Just give me some sticky grenades. Give me that sword. I'd follow Master Chief in the war. So, I mean, yeah, Godfather, it's well renowned as like one of the greatest films of all time. I do not share that belief, but a lot of people do. This movie looks good. The cast looks stellar in this movie. I'm pretty sure they're gonna tell a great story here. I'm just not a big Godfather fan, so I don't really care to see a movie about the making of the Godfather. Or I'm sorry, this is a limited series.
What
actually,
what I would charge you to do is go back and watch The Godfather with a truly open mind.
You're asking me to commit a lot of time to something I already know I don't like.
Just the first Godfather. You don't have to go through 2 or 3. Just go back and the reason why is because I remember when I first watched, like I was going back through my the old VHS tapes when I was a kid that my dad had, and they're literally like I think there was like 200 or 300 of them, right, that I was kind of pouring through, and one of them like this set that I would always remember seeing was The Godfather, and every now and then, every so often, we would pop it in and watch it, and it's a 2 tape set because that's how long The Godfather is. That you need 2 tapes for it, and I just always remember when I was a kid watching, it's like, yo, this shit is so boring. It is so boring. Why are we watching this? This is the most boring. But then as an adult, as I watched it the first time around, I was like, all right, this shit is cool. When I watched it the third time, fam, I was like, yo, shit is fire. This movie is.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
All right. Okay.
Listen, I've seen The Godfather, the first one, twice. I've seen the second one once.
Did you? Can I? And
I've never watched the third one.
I know you.
I won't.
Yeah, the third one's you could probably miss that. But what I know how you're going to answer this even before I ask you. But like, do you feel like you actually like understood everything that was going on in it?
Yes, I understand the film. I just don't like it, and I feel like that's what people will like. People who really enjoy a certain film or enjoy a book. Well, did you understand it? Did you get it? Do you know the nuance? Like, do you? I get it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, and I'm not disputing that, but like, I guess, like I know your taste because we have some overlapping taste in movies, and like we're both child of the 90s in terms of growing up with the Schwarzeneggers, Sylvester Stallones, and fucking Steven Seagal's. Like we have that overlapping, but there are other like sort of more nuanced movies, one might argue, that we certainly sort of have in common. And so when I look at The Godfather, I look at some of the movies that we went through. Like we just watched a movie from the creator of Annihilation. We both, to my understanding, I think we both really liked Annihilation. So it's for that reason is why I asked, like, well, damn, did you understand the movie? Because I feel like this is a movie that you would think is dope as shit.
So I love there are a lot of things I do love about The Godfather. Particularly, I love its take on just like family politics, right? I love its take on, it wasn't like a gangster movie, and I like how they addressed that in this trailer here. The Godfather, I don't really view it as like just an Italian mob gangster movie. I view it as like a movie about family business, right? And the inner workings of like how you run your family and everything that comes in between. Protect your family, being like the head of your family, leading your family, and all the politics and things that come in between. Blah blah blah. And there's so many other things there. So many quotables came out of The Godfather, and I feel like The Godfather's impact on film is profound. We still see a lot of that today. I just don't like. Well, not that I don't like it, like it was bad. I just didn't particularly care for it. I've seen the first one twice. I don't need to go watch it again.
Yeah,
I've seen the second one. I don't need to watch that again. I don't care to watch the third one.
I think maybe one of the reasons why I feel strongly about it is because I identify with the character of Michael so much in terms of just his whole story arc. Because really, The Godfather is just basically about Michael, right? It's about a lot more, but he's essentially the focal point of the trilogy, right? And I think that the journey that he goes on, I could kind of say is similar to the movie that we just watched, right? Deep Water, right? How you have these two people, you have this dude Vic who starts off as like this kind of like he's a good guy. He seems like he's a decent guy. Weird, but decent guy. And then he slowly descends into this madness. But the question then becomes is like, wait, was he always fucking crazy, or did he just start being crazy? And I feel like it was essentially that same thing with Michael. It's just, was he always this, sort of cruel, paranoid, fucking sociopathic person, or did he grow into that because his family kept pressuring him? Hey, we need you as a part of the family business. We need you a part of the family business. And then when he became a part of the family business, they saw the monster that he essentially revealed himself to be.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that whole story that they painted him was like one of the most complete character studies I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it so much. So that's why I'm like fixated on the point of like, fuck, I love it because I see what they're doing with them.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
And this is why I say like Godfather's impact on film is like, so profound, because like, when you look at a character like Michael, you see so many other characters like that in films that we watch today, of like this person who, my view of Michael was someone who like did not want to become what he became. He was kind of somewhat forced to, but when he did become that thing, he was like, you know what? I like this.
Monster.
Yeah. I like it. And if I'm going to be this thing, I'm going to be the best at it. And I will become the monster that I have to be because you made me.
Which begs the question, who made the monster? Didn't he try to avoid it?
Sure. Yeah. And I think that thing is, and why it's so relatable, why his character is so relatable. I feel like everybody has the potential in them to become something like that, right? Where it's like, if you really push me hard enough, I will snap, right?
But that's just it. Like, that's what I think is the beautiful part about what they did with Michael's character, is that he really wasn't pushed to be a monster so much as he was pushed to be a part of. But they just didn't. Everybody didn't know what they were buying into when they were asking him to do this. But it's kind of like a little bit like what you're saying of like he did like. We didn't really nobody knew, but maybe he knew what he could become.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why he was trying to avoid it.
It was kind of one of those things where he's like, I don't want to be a bad guy. I don't want to be a bad guy. But everyone kept asking him to be the bad guy. And then now he's like, okay, you want me to be the bad guy? I'll be the bad guy.
Shout out to Razor Ramon.
I'm going to give you the bad guy that you probably didn't expect. You didn't think this was there. And that's what he gave to him.
Yeah. Shout out to Scott Hall.
Love the movie. I'm sorry, love the characters and the story that's told.
No, you said it right. Love the movie. It's fine.
Movie.
It's fine. I heard you let it slip. But yeah, this looks interesting. Miles Teller is back to doing Miles Teller shit. It's been a while since we've seen Miles Teller. We don't see him in too much. The last movie I really remember seeing him in was it War Dogs? The one movie that he did with Jonah Hill, where they were like the gun runners.
Yeah.
That's really the last movie I can really remember him in. I don't remember too much past that. But Miles had he had a little moment there where he was in like everything.
Yeah, you know what? He was in what was that movie where he played the drummer guy?
Yeah, I was about to say Drumline. That was like really wrong. Definitely not Drumline. Fucking fuck. What is that movie called?
I forget what that movie is.
Because it's with J.K. Simmons.
I'm trying to look for it here. I can't find it. It's not Bleed. Is it Bleed for this? No. Yeah, I mean he's done
Whiplash.
a lot of stuff. It was Whiplash. That's what it's called.
Whiplash, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean he's a good actor. I like the guy. We'll see more from him. I'm absolutely sure. I'm looking at his IMDb. He has a few movies in the works. There's Top Gun Maverick. He's going to be in that.
He plays I think he's Tom Cruise's son in that. Did you ever watch the original Top Gun?
I think so. But
It's back in
I feel
the
like
day,
I was so young. I probably saw it, but
we need to do a movie night. We need to watch fucking Top Gun because everybody keeps talking about it as if it's like the best thing ever, and I'm suspecting that it's probably garbage.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry.
Yeah.
Everybody
So
who listens to
listen,
this podcast.
I'm of the belief that like if I missed something, I missed it.
No.
But the world goes on. Like I don't. There's certain things where people are like, oh, you gotta go back and watch this thing, and I feel like you are. You dedicate time to this. Like you'll go back and watch Star
100%.
Wars. I'm sorry, Star Trek.
Both.
I will absolutely never go back and watch Star Trek. I missed it. I wasn't there.
Well, I think part of that is like I'm trying to be more of like a student of not just a student of like, oh my god, I feel like I have to go back and watch Citizen Kane because everybody says it's like I don't really give a shit about it. I've watched Citizen Kane. I think it's kind of boring. It might be a masterpiece to some people. It's definitely not to me, right?
Okay.
But I think I go back to watch certain things because I feel like, for one, I just like having conversations about things. I just like talk. I like when I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, "Hey, I watched this thing, or this new thing's coming out from this old thing." I like to be at least somewhat knowledgeable about whatever the fuck it is, so I can at least carry a conversation because I think. I just think that's interesting, but then also too, I try to be a student of like just film and TV, and so much shit has come out in history that it's just like impossible to say that you've seen everything. So I know I'm fighting a losing battle, but also I want to watch as much stuff as I possibly can, so that so I don't know. I can not leave every any stone sort of left unturned. At least ones that that I know I can.
Yeah, I mean, I love to have conversations about these really like prominent, thought provoking films with like unique storytelling and perspectives and all that shit. But like at the same time, I like Blade 2. I watched that shit the other night. It was great. Wesley Snipes can do no wrong.
Yeah, I mean, look, I go back and watch trash shit all the time. And honestly, Blade 2 is not terrible. Although it's not as good as I remember it being. I remember when I first watched it, was like, yo, this movie's amazing. The first one, it was like Child's Play. This one's fucking awesome. And I watched it again, I was like, it was all right.
I think like it's aging. It's still like it's like an old car, right? It cranks slow, and you're like, doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It's still good. Like I watched it the other night. I still very much enjoyed the film. I don't think it's aged like perfectly. It's not in mint condition.
Yeah, it hasn't aged as well as
it has
some
not.
other movies are. Like it's not T2.
Yeah,
I remember watching T2 again. It's like, yo,
Terminator 2
this is
still
not dropped off at all.
Yeah.
Who was I think I was talking to Addy, and he was like, I don't know if T2 is one of the greatest movies ever. I was like, Addy, get the fuck out of my face.
I did watch it like not too long ago, and it is still that good.
It's a classic period.
Yeah. T2 has, if not retained its value, has appreciated in value. Blade
somehow
2,
the CGI in it somehow still holds up after like 40 years. It's
like, I know this shit is fake, but like I'm willing to accept it because it's still very
I don't know.
good.
I feel like
Blade 2 has not
appreciated
appreciated in value, but I'm not saying it hasn't lost
it's
all of its value.
It's a little cartoonish. I feel like Blade 2 was like with the dude who was like the
Damaschino.
Like the what was like the main dude who was like fucking the
Damaschino.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just like it's kind of just this is a little cartoonish. I don't know.
A little bit,
Maybe, yeah. But my tastes have sophisticated.
What do you mean?
My palate for movies has like I remember watching it thinking like, yo, this is so dope. Like the action in it is awesome, but then like when I went back and like watched it because I feel like more I watch for story now more than action or anything else. So kind of removing the action from it is just like. Yeah, the story's kind of stupid. Like, it's like, okay, you've got the princess and, she's trying to do some shit. And then,
yeah, I think the story was like it's kind of like a family drama, right? Like Damaskino is the son of like the head of the vampire coven or whatever, and he was like this new breed of vampire that fed on vampires, and then it's like, all right, well, I don't want to kill my son, but our son is gonna be the demise of our like of who we are as vampires. Like, and they're like, vampires, we don't want to take over the earth. Like, we just want to survive. But like this new breed of vampires, they will infect everything and everyone and destabilize like the ecosystem that is.
Yeah, so I get that. I feel like and this is the problem. I forget what movie we watched recently, but I remember thinking like it wasn't so much the story that was the problem. It was kind of the execution of the story, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
I
not,
mean, a great story is nothing
like,
if you don't
like
execute
the premise
it well.
that you just said was like, okay, that's good, and there's a version of that I'm sure is fire. But the execution was not there.
Yeah, this is like early 2000s, so like storytelling probably was not there.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you, dude, one of the Marvel movies that I'm absolutely the most excited for. I know there's a lot of shit coming down the pipeline, but I'm so excited for Blade. Yeah. Like that is my
it depends.
One of my
it depends
favorites.
again. Like it depends on the story that they gave us. I think they've got a great person playing Blade, Mahershala Ali. I just watched him in Swan Song. Great movie. I think he's a great actor. The role is in great hands, but just as with anything else, it just really just depends on the story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah, I mean, so far they've announced they've got Mahershala Ali, Delroy Lindo, and Aaron Pierre. Delroy Lindo. What was the last movie that he was in?
I don't know who that is.
Delroy Lindo. So who's the guy who played Kang, the Conqueror?
That's not Delroy Lindo.
No, that's not him. What's his? He was.
Fuck. What's his name?
It's like fuck.
Yeah, I've got a terrible memory.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He was also in Harder They Fall. He and Delroy Lindo did the movie where they're out in the jungle. Remember they went back to like.
Oh yeah. The something 5.
The 5 Heartbeats.
The blood.
5 Bloods.
The 5 Bloods.
Yeah,
Jonathan Majors. Delroy
Lindo is like the bald black guy who like went crazy in the jungle and ended up dying.
Yeah.
Stellar actor. I love his work. I think he's gonna play like a Whistler type of character to Mahershala Ali's Blade.
I feel like that's too on the nose. I feel like that's just like the black version of whoever they got. The first two.
We need a Whistler. Who's gonna play? But like, if you're gonna do it, it might as well be him. Yeah.
Fair enough.
One of the greatest interviews of all time, Delroy Lindo.
Look, let's get through this real quick. We got a couple more topics to talk about. Let's just kind of speed through these. So we say we did them. So first of all, let's talk about. So I was flipping through some stories, and I came across a story about what the residuals basically were, what the royalties were for some of these shows that had pretty long runs, right? And I was just like blown away at some of the stats here of just like, yo, if you were a part of one of these network shows that really fucking popped and you were one of the main cast members, bruh, you do not have to work for literally the rest of your life, nor do your kids, I'm sure, have to work for literally the rest of their lives. So look, let's just roll through it real quick. Friends. The show's success still pays dividends for the cast. In 2015, USA Today reported that Warner Brothers earned $1 billion a year from Friends. Of that amount, 2% or $20 million goes to each of the stars every single fucking year. 20 mil every single year, not counting anything else. What?
Yo.
Sir, what?
If I knew I was going to be getting $20 million a year for something I did 20 years ago, like I'm probably still spending money from like 2008. You know what I mean? Like,
you wouldn't
I need a different bank account for each year. You know what I mean? It's like, and I need my accountant to keep me on track. Like, all right, you spent the 2007 money. We're now in 2008. I'm like, okay, great. How are we going to waste this?
Yeah. So you do have other shows that they had like kind of not weird, but I would say less, I guess, their cast members weren't able to sort of get more, they weren't able to sort of bargain together, I guess. So take Seinfeld, for instance. Jerry Seinfeld and then Larry David were basically the co-creators of the show. So they got a majority of the royalties, while Julia Louis Dreyfus and then Michael Richards, as well as Jason Alexander, didn't own a stake in the show, that's heartbreaking.
Yo.
That's heartbreaking.
If I found out that we did this thing together, but
they created it. But also, like, bitch, but we...
So it was Larry David who created the show, right? Or was it him and Seinfeld?
Him and Seinfeld created it together.
Okay, I thought Seinfeld was, like, brought on as, like, the actor, but he also...
They
co-created it?
Co-created it, yeah.
Got it, okay. So, but, like, I still... That's kind of like, with Facebook, right? How Mark Zuckerberg essentially wrote... Who's the other guy? It was Sergio something... kind of like wrote him out of like ownership of Facebook and kind of like fucked him out of billions of dollars. Yeah. It's like kind of one of those things. I would be, I mean, I'm sure they're still making some money. They probably still get some residuals, but they're not getting
Apparently
Jerry and Larry money.
Ownership.
Damn.
You don't have any ownership.
It's kind of like what happened with Stan Lee at Marvel. He created all of these amazing characters.
He just got a
Marvel owned the right to them. Yeah, he's just like, we'll give you 5 seconds in every movie just to shut you up.
But do you want to know how much Seinfeld and Larry David made?
400 million per syndication cycle.
Yo,
what is a syndication cycle?
I assume when say like, I don't know, a network buys it up and says, hey, we're going to run it for like the next like year. Like, so you know how Netflix had or it currently has the rights to Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So I assume now streaming might make that a different sort of scenario. But from what I understand, it's like going through a cycle of the show on any given like network.
Yeah, I got a definition here. I'm just going to read it real quick. Sure. Syndication rights typically last for 6 consecutive showings of a series within 3 to 5 years. So if like, to your point, if ABC shows the show like from front to back 6 times within 3 to 5 years, that's a syndication cycle, $400 million. Either way, as long as the check clears for some shit they did 20 years ago, that's beautiful. Dude, Larry David, like, he's those actors who don't age, like Ice Cube and Jared Leto and fucking whoever the fuck else, right? Mm-hmm. Larry David is one of those people who like does not age, but he stopped aging when he was old as fuck. Because you can go back to like episode 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which came out like a long time ago. He looks as old as he is now. He just hasn't aged since then. He just stopped aging at 65. Basically. Like if I'm gonna stop aging, let it be at like 30.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, even if you're like 60, even if you're like 70, or in Jared Leto's case, right? He's like 55, but Jared Leto looks like a 27-year-old woman.
You know what series I've wanted to go back and watch? I don't know if I talked to you or Addie about this, but I've always wanted to go back and watch the show from the 90s. It didn't really last that long, but it was like one of the first shows it's one of the first times I ever saw Jared Leto. It was called My So-Called Life. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
It's like an MTV. It wasn't. I don't think it was on them. Was it on it? It might have been on MTV. I'm not sure.
No.
But it was kind of in the same vein of that. During that same time period, it's like Daria. You know Daria?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
It was sort of during that same time. It wasn't animated. It was a live show, and I think what's her name? Fuck. She's in the not the Americans, but the oh my god, my brain is not working correctly. I keep wanting to say Kirsten Dunst. It's not Kirsten Dunst. It's whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. But I've always wanted to go back and watch that show, My So-Called Life, because I remember it being like this weird show that I didn't really understand when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I knew it was like, oh, okay, this is like really different.
See, this is what we talked about. Like, you will go back and watch something like that. I'm like, I missed it. That's like, so, but like,
but you still go back and watch it. It just depends on how old it is. Yeah.
Kind of sort. I mean, I'll go back and watch some old shit, but like usually if I go back and watch something old, it's that
you're already familiar with it. Yeah.
Now, granted, like for example, I went back, like I've been looking at like a whole bunch of Denzel Washington movies that I haven't seen before, and I'm like, yo, there's so many Denzel movies I haven't seen, and I'll go back and watch some shit. And it's like, damn, this was good. I can't believe I haven't seen it. Something like that. But if I have to know that, like, all right,
there's something attractive there.
It's going to be good, you know?
Yeah, I like that I don't know. I actually like the unsuspecting, like, because then when it is dope, then you're like, oh shit, this was really dope.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know. I just know like there's a great actor in it, and like this actor was like in the early stages of their like what we now know as their greatness. So it's like all right, there has to have been something there, right? So if I go back and watch the Denzel movie from 30 years ago, I'm like, all right, well, there's got to be something good about it. Yeah, Meg Ryan's in it. Jennifer Aniston would. But anyway, so the first time I saw like Jared Leto, he was in Requiem. Have you ever seen this movie, Requiem for a Dream?
Claire Danes, that's who I was trying to.
Claire Danes,
yeah.
From
Yeah.
Homeland.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's who was the star of. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say is
you're asking for Requiem.
Requiem for a Dream. It has like Marlon Wayans in it.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I'm actually kind of scared to watch it. I feel like
watch it. It's
terrifying.
Like, it's not one of my favorites. But
as somebody who doesn't do a whole lot of drugs at all, I feel like it's not helpful in terms of
opening it is true.
those gateways.
If you're like into like drugs and shit, this is probably like one of your like favorite movies. But like it was a good movie still. But like you're gonna see Jared Leto, you're gonna see Marlon Wayans, who also has not aged, as well as Jennifer Connelly, who's aged very, very. All of them has fucking aged well. That movie came out 22 years ago.
Yeah,
Jared Leto still looks the same. That's insane. Anyway,
yeah.
So there are a couple other series on here. There's like Gilligan's Island.
Let's pour through them real quick. Dude, apparently they don't really make shit from Gilligan's Island. Home Improvement I'm interested in. Home Improvement enjoyed an 8-year run, 1990 and ended in 1999. Richard Karn, one of the show's stars, told Australian publication news.com 2016, every time the show gets bought around the world, you get a little percentage of that. You don't want to have to live on that, but it's a nice kind of annuity. It depends on where he's coming from. I don't know what a little is to him. It's all relative.
Yeah, and with his expense, little might be like
I can't buy a new yacht.
200,000. Just a little bit of money.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting ones I saw was like Ray Romano can earn up to $18 million a year from residuals for Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yo, that's why these hit shows are like. That's why you're like, yo, if we had a run longer than about 6-7 seasons.
Yeah.
Yo, and you better locked up that contract after like the 3rd season. You got to lock up that contract to say, yo, I'm getting fucking percentages on the end of the
Yeah, I can't be out here like you can't just wait for the direct deposit to hit and think everything's all good. You got to be like, yo, like man. I need to be able to write on some shows. I need to be able to executive produce on some shit. I need like
you know I watched like a little documentary on the dude. You've watched Ridiculousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
On MTV.
Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah. So I watched like a little sort of YouTube.
He makes so much money off of that
he basically owns MTV essentially because that's all they fucking show is Ridiculousness or whatever the other fucking shows.
There was Fantasy Factory. He had that show
with him and Rob.
Then he had Robin Big, and then now he has Ridiculousness.
I said him and Rob. He is Rob.
Yeah. So he's so far. I think he's had 3 or 4 shows on MTV, which he's like the creator of, the executive producer, the producer, and like the writer.
They are printing money.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Before The Simpsons was a $13 billion global franchise. It was obscure animated show in 1982. Basically they don't make shit from the show. 50 can't make the same claim. In 2017, TMZ reported that the musician and actor received a check from his cameo he made on The Simpsons for $16.68. So yeah, basically he doesn't fucking make shit from it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
This last one for me here, what I thought was really interesting. So this was like I'll just read the excerpt here. Fox News speculated that Charlie Sheen, for his work on 2.5 Men, could go on to earn up to $100 million more after the show had ended. Yeah. However, in 2016, he sold his profit participation rights for $27 million.
And yeah, I guess he needed the money, dude.
I don't know if that like exempts him from earning like any residuals.
I would have to assume that that's probably a lion's share of whatever he had attached to the show.
Yeah.
Hey man, sometimes you need that money right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't wait.
He's been going through a lot.
Even though $100 million is a lot of fucking money, how much trouble could you be in where you're like, I'd pass up $100 million for 27.
Yeah. Over the next 5 years, you can make $100 million, or you can get like 27 right now.
Like, what trouble can you possibly? What drug lords do you owe money to? that you need that money.
Fucking
lickety
Mexican cartel. Mexican cartel's like, yo, we need it tomorrow.
Yo, either you pay us tomorrow or we're fucking, or
we're gonna kill everybody. This is that simple.
Or your wife's going to be Melinda.
Now, granted, if it were Charlie Sheen, he'd probably be like, take my wife. You know what I mean? Denise Richards, like, I don't want to have to pay her any more child support or alimony.
I didn't just watch it. I watched it a while ago, but I watched The World Is Not Enough, man. What happened to Denise Richards? Where did her career go, dude?
I don't know. I think she got in with, like, got married to Charlie Sheen. They had a kid. And then, like, from there, it was just like, it was kind of like what happened with Pamela Anderson, right? She was at, like, the height of Hollywood, one of the most beautiful women on the planet. And then she fucked around with who's the guy? Tommy.
I think she got more popular from that standpoint.
I don't know. I feel like that, like, the sex tape came out, and then they just got into, like, drugs and alcohol, and then they fell off. And
well, I still haven't watched the series. Not that I'm saying that that's like a documentary or anything like that, but I still haven't watched the series on Hulu.
Yeah, I love Sebastian Stan, but I'm not gonna watch that shit.
I might watch.
I don't care.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things about it.
I'm sure it's great. I just don't care enough.
Okay.
Like, I don't care enough about that story. Like, I'm not like, oh, Tommy and Pam.
Yeah, it was never really like a much attractive like
sex tape wasn't even that good.
I knew. Yikes. Never watched it. I was too young.
It's still online. You can watch it. Watch it tonight if you want to.
Oh, I thought you don't go back and watch old things.
No, this is years ago. I watched it when it like came out.
This dude watches it every week.
Catch up.
All right, let's talk real quick about the Jack Nicholson asking for basically the best picture or the let me revise what I'm trying to say. Okay, the best actor award in 2003 during the Academy Awards. Jack Nicholson, I guess, was a part of that group, and he asked the other best actor award nominees to boycott the Oscars in protest of the war in Iraq in 2003. Adrian Brody, you know what? I don't agree with his stance, but I respect it. Adrian Brody came out and said this about Jack Nicholson, but he said he called up the rest of everybody else. He was like, look, bro, look, my parents are fucking coming to this thing. This is the first one I'm ever going, that I ever got invited to. I'm fucking going, okay? I'm not staging a fucking protest. But what was dope about what he did was he then got on stage. I think he actually did win. And then during his speech, he, purposely noted the Iraq War, as...
And I want to quickly read that because it is somewhat meaningful. It says, my experience making this film made me very aware of the sadness and dehumanization of people at the times of war and the repercussions of war. However, whomever you believe in, if it's God or Allah, may he watch over you, and let us pray for a peaceful and swift resolution. And again, this was during the this was which war was this?
The Iraq War.
So many. Iraq War, yeah.
Yeah, I love the thing that you just said because it shows you the insanity that was the Iraq War. So we were in Iraq for so fucking long that a lot of people just forgot.
Yeah,
we were staging a war. We were in it so during that entire period, and then they withdrew from Afghanistan. I think we're still in Iraq. I don't know exactly where it is right now, but basically up until I think it was the last year, we had been at war with Iraq and in Afghanistan that entire fucking time.
Yeah, so this was from like
time.
I think the war in Iraq started in like 2001. So I think we were there.
No, it officially started in 2003. I want to say it was.
No, I think at that time we were already. The war was already. It was either 2001 or 2002. But so either way, by the time,
because we got attacked on 9/11, and then it was I believe either the subsequent year because we had to go through the whole thing with Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. So we went through that first, and then we were like, all right, because of this, we're going to war. So there was some time there between 9/11 and when we went into Iraq.
Isn't it crazy that like Trump's presidency seems crazier than the war in Iraq?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it was actually crazier.
It probably wasn't, but like,
because I'm talking about like a 20-some year war.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was declared in 2003. Like we are officially at war with Iraq. You know what? I don't know what's right or what's wrong, right? Like I get Adrian Brody's point where he's like, yo, like this is the accumulation of like all of my life's work.
Yo, think about that. Think about like if you're fucking like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and this is like you get to the finals, right? This is it. You can do it. And then they're like, well, but you got to sit out and protest. You're like, but I've spent my entire career for this. What the fuck do you mean?
Could we protest after we win the championship?
Right? After I get the ship?
I'm not going to boycott the Super Bowl the day before the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, let me go out and get the trophy first.
So like where I stand on it, I do think that like, but that's like what shit like that means, right? Like it's like, like it's that important to you, but that's why it means that much more when you do then protest it, or stage a protest during it. Like I feel like people think that protests are supposed to be like this thing where it's just like convenient for you or everybody else. It's like, no, it's supposed to be the direct opposite. It's supposed to
it's supposed to require great sacrifice. And you can always see the people who like, there will always be people who are unwilling to sacrifice. Right. And even if like protesting this thing benefits them, right? Like you got to think about like, the companies that like, are fucking ruining the world. Right. Let's say Exxon spills some more oil in the water and people are like, let's boycott Exxon gas stations. And like, if you work at Exxon, don't show up to work, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, there are people who will show up to work still, even though they know like the company I work for is terrible. It's an evil, terrible company, but I'm going to show up to work because like I've got bills to pay, or, I want to keep buying shit online. Right. So like, unfortunately protests, like they're never ever really as like powerful as they should be because not everybody's willing to like sacrifice.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think our perception of protests in today's day and age is a lot different than what it was. Especially here in America.
What protest do you think has been like, very successful, like, and it has led to like real change?
Well, I just during the whole civil rights era, like, the many, whether it's Birmingham or in terms of like.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the civil rights era just because like that's.
Yeah, that's like the.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like anything more else? Recently.
I might argue like, but it's harder, right? Like as we sort of go on, substantial change is harder to achieve, right? So like it's easier, I guess, in the civil rights era to change shit because it's like, okay, so we go from having separate drinking water fountains to just having one drinking water fountain.
Yeah,
like that's an easier thing than like looking under like the nooks and crannies of things, of like how things are just crafted in such a way to disadvantage one group versus another. So I feel like you get more change, I feel like, back then because the shit was just dumb. Like it's just like this is obviously terrible. Like,
like I was thinking more along the lines of like, for example, a couple years ago, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago,
like the Women's March.
Not even that. Like, so like I'm gonna use an example of like the Gucci, right, where Gucci like had like on several occasions had like put out like ads like essentially like disrespecting black people, right? There was one where it's like kid
the kid with the monkey thing,
he had like a noose around his neck or some shit like that, right? And
now, wasn't it just like it was a white kid with like a monkey on his chest or something like I forget exactly.
It was something like very racist, something right? Wild, that like somebody
something that was just like obviously like, yo, I don't even care if you were white, black, this
someone should have been like, this is not okay, right? And then
but it was in like the UK or some shit like that, where it's just like well, maybe they don't have the same relation. It's the UK, so who knows? But
I mean, they should, because like, I mean, look at how like Africans are treated in the UK. Like, France is trying to deport them on a daily basis back to like Nigeria and like all these countries in which they have like deals with. But like when you look at the French soccer team, they're like, yo, we want as many Africans on here as possible. Anyway, so like. Then like there was a call to boycott Gucci, right? And black people like boycott Gucci, boycott Gucci. There are a lot of people who are still like for example, Floyd Mayweather was like, no, I'm not gonna boycott Gucci. Like I don't care if they disrespect black people. Like they didn't disrespect me, and I like their stuff, so I'm still gonna buy it. So that's why it's like the boycott or the protest, like it does work in terms of like highlighting the issue, but it never fully sometimes but it doesn't fully work because like you have to follow a protest with like a financial financial
that
process.
doesn't, just because Floyd Mayweather didn't doesn't mean that there aren't still, that its success or not, non-success, I don't think is simply gauged by dollar amount, but also I feel like it's gauged by its cultural impact. Even though especially if you're just talking about like a private business, yes, it should be, their pockets have to be hit in order for them to learn this sort of fucking lesson, right?
That's why the Redskins changed their name to the Commanders. Like,
yeah.
When people try to go at Dan Snyder was like, fuck you guys, I'm not going to do it. But
really, I think what did it for Dan Snyder was that there was other shit going on. So he was like, well, let's do this so we can have some sort of good publicity based on that.
Well, no, it was like there was a call for people to not only boycott or protest against or for the name change, right? But then it was also like, now we have to start going at the Redskins, who their partners are. FedEx Field, okay, now we're going to either boycott or protest FedEx, Nike, and FedEx pulled their sponsorship, and Nike did too. Then they're like, oh, now this is hurting our pockets. Now we have to change.
No, but notice the actual time in which they changed their name was like 2 years ago, right? I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that they changed their name, right?
No, it was just they just announced it this year.
No, I mean when they stopped being the Redskins.
Okay,
when
they
went to the football team, and then now they're the Commanders.
Yeah, they were Washington football team for 2 years. So it was like what 2019 is when they announced that they would.
So if I'm to kind of understand the timeline correct, that was when the rumblings of the investigation into the team's conduct, as far as they did a lot of fucked up things with their cheerleaders, as well as just women in general working for Washington, and so I feel like, and we're getting way off base here with what we're talking about, but I feel like companies do this every now and then, where it's just like, oh, hey, here's this thing that you've been asking us to do literally forever, but we're going to do it now so that we can get some good publicity, or at least we can get them talking about something else other than the real shit we don't want them fucking talking about. And I feel like that specifically for Washington, I feel like that was the case. That was the reason why that they did it. I still think that Dan Snyder didn't give a fuck. Like, even if they get sponsors to pull their their advertising, I feel like he's that arrogant of a person to be like, nah, I still don't give a fuck. And so, but I'm bringing that back to sort of Adrian Brody and the Oscars, because I feel like that moment would have been so different than if something like that happened now, where I feel like now it's much more right to protest something, or to stage some sort of public display of like, I'm protesting X, Y, or Z. I feel like there's a lot of people doing things nowadays simply because they know it's going to get the likes, they know it's going to get the clicks, they know it's going to get the eyes, instead, which obviously is like the purpose of a protest, but I feel like the motivations are different nowadays. I feel like there's much more of a popular aspect to it, versus back then in 2003, people would have just been like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What are you protesting? First of all, this is America. So protesting the Iraq war is out, so to do something like that back then, when there wasn't this whole wave of like, what the fuck are you fighting?
When you couldn't go live on Instagram or Twitter and talk about it,
that
and get
shit
the views and the likes and the follows.
You know what I mean?
It would have been a little bit more risky then.
It would have hit different,
Because like, even if you got negative publicity from like, within like the film, community, back then, like, if you didn't get a movie, if no one hired you to do any more movies because you were so outspoken, you were just kind of fucked. But now there's a court of public opinion that you can rally on social media. So like, let's say you're an actor and you come out,
it's in to do shit like that.
Exactly. So like, now if you want to fight against a cause or something like that, like, if you have the support of people on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, and like they're backing you, the companies or the movie studios that like may not agree with your terms, like, they can't just fire you or like step away from you or like recast you, because then they're like, oh shit, now then we're going to be judged in the court of public opinion.
I would argue that they probably still can. It just depends on what you're doing, right? So remember Gina Carano, or whatever the fuck her name is, who was on The Mandalorian, and they got her up out of there because she forget exactly what she did. What the fuck she did?
I think she said some like some like either anti-vax shit or some like pro-Trump shit, right? And then and I think the people who were a part of the Mandalorian production, like everybody just kind of agreed, like, yeah, we don't agree with her point of view, so she's out of there. And then in the court of public opinion, much more people were like against her comments because they were just like, first of all, like she didn't even really need to say that publicly.
I don't even remember what the fuck she said.
Yeah, it was either some like anti-vax shit or some like pro-Trump shit, but it was like misinformed, and it was just like, you know, if this is your opinion, maybe
I
you
want to say,
don't
wasn't
share
that
it
before
publicly.
COVID?
No. It was
I think that was before COVID, dude.
I know.
I don't think it was a COVID thing.
Either I think, or it may have been like a transphobic comment.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, let me see here. What did she say? Yeah, it may have been some like, because it was like the fire Gina Carano was trending.
It was a Jewish thing. She was comparing.
Was it like an anti-Semitic comment?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. Well, depending on, I guess, how you sort of take it. But she was comparing. She says Jews were beaten in the street.
So Carano compared having conservative political views to being Jewish and Nazi Germany.
So that's what it was. They got her the fuck up out of there. But that was actually in 2001, so that actually was like a year ago.
You mean 2020, was it?
Oh, did I say 2001? I meant 2021.
Yeah, so I mean, something like that is just like wildly insensitive, and like, you know, I could understand why, because like you're not just offending, like you're not necessarily like saying what your political views are. You're just kind of like offending a whole group of people. It was just
she was just talking crazy.
It was just a stupid comment, and for something like that, like we gotta get you out of here.
Yeah. But so I say all that to say is you absolutely can still get. It just depends on who you are and what exactly you're saying.
Better yet, what it depends on is if the court of public opinion has your back or not. Because if they have your back,
well, I feel like there was enough conservatives to have her back that it wasn't an insignificant amount of conservatives.
Yeah, but the fire Gina Carano was like #1 trending thing on Twitter. Like there were more people calling for her to be fired. Yeah, so there were like more people calling for her to be fired than people who were supporting her.
Yeah.
And if the court of public opinion is against you, you're out of there. Now, if they had her back, like, no, we stand with her, blah, 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 they may not have been so quick to fire her. They may have just like written her out of the show slowly, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, man, that would have been dope. So, but it's interesting. Jack Nicholson, I would not have, and obviously it's kind of an anti-war thing. And I think that once you get into the sort of anti-war sort of universe, you get some weird alliances.
Yeah.
Politically speaking. But to hear that Jack Nicholson was that fucking like against it, that he was like, nah, fuck the Oscars. But again, it was a little bit privileged from him being a person who's just like,
I won 6 of them, so fuck the 7th one.
Yeah.
He probably just didn't want to go.
Yeah.
He's
like, just hungover.
Yeah, I don't feel well. I'm not gonna go. You shouldn't go either.
It's the Iraq War. Fuck it. So I would say so. He's a little. He's sitting from a little bit of a privileged, arena to be able to sort of protest the war. So I sympathize with Adrian Brody. It would have been dope if Adrian Brody would have done that. But I'm not going to like sit here and fucking hold it against him and be like, oh, you're shitty for not taking a stand.
Yeah,
it's like, no, we do what we can, right? Like if somebody comes to your job, that is a shitty job, that is just like fucking what is it? What's the dude? Vic from
Deepwater.
Yeah. He building chips for fucking drones and shit. Somebody comes to your job and is like, well, you could stage a protest by leaving this place like right now and doing all this, but you're going to win like employee of the month like in a week.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know, fam. I've been here 20 years that I haven't.
If you pull up in like a fucking just beautiful Range Rover and you clearly have money and you walk in, you tell me to quit my job. I'm like, your money and my money might not be the same.
Or if your prospects of getting another job, like if you're just sitting in a position where it's just like it's easier for you to move around and shit. Look, I'm not saying that we shouldn't sacrifice as people. Clearly, like that's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying I'm not going to sit here and judge people who aren't willing to go that extra mile, because it's like they have considerations in their own life and nobody's going to be there with them to like go through that. They're going to have to go through that themselves.
Yeah,
so it's
sacrifice is lonely. I mean, like even if you do it as a group, it's still like your sacrifice is still your personal sacrifice. Like, if everybody walked out of Starbucks, right, and they're protesting Starbucks, I understand that there are people who are going to walk out who is like, yo, I don't have food in my refrigerator. And that is what I need to consider. Ultimately, you ask them to like sacrifice for the greater good, but not everyone's sacrifice is the same. You got to understand that.
Yeah. So to wrap the whole show up, so we can end actually by talking about the Oscars. Basically, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what happens with the Oscars, right? So protest, no protest, people watching, no people watch. It doesn't fucking matter. Somehow they still sell out advertising, as we found out from IndieWire. They had an article talking about how the Oscars still fucking basically sold out all of their ad space. Even with the reduced viewership. So like for instance, Disney Advertising announced it's sold out of commercial slots for Sunday's Academy Awards, with rates estimated by Standard Media Metrics SMI at 1.7 million for 30 seconds, up from 1.53 million last year. This year could be the Oscars' biggest money earner. And so, like the show goes on, man, as they fucking say, man. I feel like this is going to be like a weird segue, and I promise this is it for us. But you know how they're talking about like Hunter Biden right now and like his laptop, and New York Times came out with a story saying, oh, that shit is actually real with Hunter Biden's laptop. I feel like this is the shit that like, I look at a story like that, I'm like, why does this matter? Because look, in a sane world, it would actually matter, right? But I'm like, we just got done with the Trump presidency, where we know he was like, I'm divesting myself from my businesses. I'm letting my children run it. And it's like, wait, I don't think that's divesting yourself.
I'm letting my children run it, but they have to report to me.
Hey, also, every meeting that we're gonna have a Mar-a-Lago, and it's like, wait. You're literally personally benefiting from that. How is that possible? That this is happening and we're all just watching it happen? But let's just hold Hunter Biden up because of a fucking laptop that said that he fucking was pimping himself out to people who wanted access to Joe Biden. Like, no shit.
Yeah.
Like
even if that's wrong, we've got bigger shit to worry about.
But not, and it's not so much to say that we shouldn't care about stuff like that, but it's just like. This is all just performative. Like it's not like, if you're going to let the Trump shit slide, then why the fuck does this matter? Because I know as soon as Trump's most likely probably going to win again in 2024, as soon as he gets in office again, we're going to go right back to not giving shit about any of this fucking illegal activity, people, conflicts of interest. Everybody's not even forget, but everybody's just it's going to be staring us in the face and remember like, I don't care. Like, because that's what it was the first time around. So the reason why I even bring that up was because it feels like people watch the Oscars, don't watch the Oscars. It's still the same fucking outcome, no matter what, which is the Oscars going to sell out ad space.
I will add a bit of like context to that. So most of these companies already planned their media buy like a year out, right? So like they already planned, hey, we're going to be advertising for the Oscars.
I can't for the life of me think that it's going to be that far ahead with the Oscars, especially in the more recent years, because of the viewership that they had to, unless they're just intent on burning money. Like you can't.
Having worked for like several like digital like creative agencies, like usually they already had this planned out. Like for if it's 2022 now, they've already planned out and budgeted 2023 the big moments: Super Bowl, NBA playoffs, March Madness.
Are there adjustments based on like whatever the context is for what's going on at that time?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, if they're like, let's say the NBA goes into like another lockout or something like that. Sure, they may pull those advertising dollars if you can, if it's not happening. But if it's still happening and you've already planned and budgeted for it, a lot of times it'll probably take more work to like cancel that plan, replan something else, figure out the budgeting, the marketing, what do we like, like than to just like leave it. Like the Oscars, it's the Oscars.
The Oscars have been sliding for like 3 years consistently, at least.
Yeah,
it's been sliding.
Yeah, and maybe, but like I'm sure like the companies the reason why it's already sold out is like those companies probably already planned it last year and they're just hoping like, we hope people watch, but the money's already planned, it's already there.
But I guess to me it's like, well, what's the logic in that? Like I understand the idea, like, and it's different if like for a block of like 5 years, if we either see it go up or at least it doesn't change that much relatively. But it's drastically changed. Nobody watches the Oscars anymore. Like before, it used to be like just like, oh, like I don't really watch the Oscars, and then it became like not only are people not watching the Oscars, but people are actively boycotting watching the Oscars.
Some people, and again, it's who the audience is. Like who is actually still gonna watch, right? And if you're a company and it's like, yeah, a lot of people are boycotting it, but the audience that we want to speak to directly, they're still gonna watch.
Then what the fuck are TV ratings then? Like what use are TV ratings? Like what does it fucking matter? If you have a
TV ratings matter, but what's more important is like the specific demographics and that matter to you, right? Like ratings could be falling, but hey, our audience is still watching, so we're still gonna advertise on the Oscars because our audience is still watching.
Capitalism.
Yeah. Data, really.
Perfect place to end the podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've already run way too long somehow. Talked too much about Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas in Deepwater. But yeah, I felt good about it. This felt good. Felt like a great show today. But with that being said, we appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Share the shit with anybody and everybody. We will be back, I believe, next week.
Yeah.
Barring any unforeseen circumstances. But with that, ladies and gentlemen.